how the Fair Housing Act promotes diversity, visit HUD.gov/fair housing. The Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, and familial status. A message from the Department of Housing and Urban Development in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Hi, I'm Matt Kenseth. You don't have to be a race car driver to know that life can be full of drama. Some of it you can't control, like mechanical issues, high winds, and rain delays. But there's some drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
You just need to take that first step and find free classes near you and leave the drama for the racetrack.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
Attention, all crab cake lovers. Mark your calendar for the Arc Gateway Annual Crab Cake Cook-Off, sponsored by Dr. Stu Bonin, the kids' dentist, at Seville Quarter on Wednesday, July 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. Sample over 15 varieties of crab cakes made by local chefs, organizations, and restaurants. Enjoy live music, beer tasting provided by the Pensacola Bay Brewery, and silent auction and artwork available for purchase. Proceeds go to the Arc Gateway. Tickets are limited, so call Brittany at 434-2638 or visit arc-gateway.org.
Hi, this is Thane Taylor from the Sleep Center. For over 20 years now, the Sleep Center has been known as Pensacola's mattress experts. But did you know that the Sleep Center is also Pensacola's adjustable bed, futon, cabinet bed, and beanbag experts? The Sleep Center opened in Pensacola in 1995 with the main goal of being the area's one-stop shop for all your bedding needs. Since then, we have become Pensacola's oldest and largest bedding superstore and have the highest Google rating of any store on the Gulf Coast. So if you want better sleep without all the fuss, come to the Sleep Center and leave the rest to us.
Business owners of Escambia and Santa Rosa counties, listen to this important message.
This is Jeffrey, the marketing consultant for ESPN, News Radio 92.3, and Talk Radio WEBY. I've helped hundreds and hundreds of people just like you increase their business traffic and drive revenue into their doors. My service works. I design creative, attention-getting commercials that get results. It works for them and will work for you. I know what you're thinking. No one listens to commercials, right? Well, you just did. Call me, Jeffrey. 262-6000.
Chad Brillante is all about sports, the majors, the minors, the hometown pros. The Sports Drive, 5 to 7 weekdays on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Don Le Batard.
And finally, the Carolina Panthers have a sommelier on staff.
My God.
A wine expert.
Sommelier. You want to try one more time?
No.
Stugats.
Let me try it again. Hold on. Can I hear it again?
Sommelier.
The R is silent.
It's French.
It's French, huh? And finally, the Carolina Panthers have a sommelier on staff.
It's not a Somali.
How about that?
The R is silent. It is not a Somali. It is not a Somali.
Mike, let me hear it again.
Sommelier.
And finally, the Carolina Panthers have a Smollett on staff.
Perfect.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Open Championship Round 1. Two-way tie atop the leaderboard. Shane Lowry is done with his round. He's -4. Brooks Koepka, of course, is still out on the course. He is through 15 holes. He is tied with Lowry at 4 under par. Tiger Woods, through 7, is +4. The Arizona Cardinals released offensive tackle Desmond Harrison after a warrant was issued for his arrest on felony charges of assault in North Carolina. Nature Valley's sweet and salty bars are the indulgent break you deserve in your day. Have you tried the dark chocolate, peanut, and almond flavor? Now that's a sit on the dock and take a moment kind of bar. I love those things, man. I really do. Nature Valley sweet and salty bars. Delicious. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
So we have some Chris Cody sound, some amazing Chris Cody sound, given some facts that Stugatz just read to you. What are you laughing about, Billy?
That was the Steven Seagal. We're just going to ignore that. That was. I mean, Steven Seagal is one of. I guess I need to be careful with how I say this. Steven Seagal has the characteristics of one of the strangest people in the world, easily.
Stranger than say Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yes, easily, I would think. Because Billy Ray Cyrus at least kind of knows, hey, I'm a musician, I'm going to stick to music, and every once in a while I'll try to get someone into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Steven Seagal is just a man. He's like a Swiss Army knife as a human being. He does it all. He sings, he acts, he has all kinds of martial arts experience, and the videos of him doing martial arts, I'm sure you guys have all seen this, but for those of you who haven't seen Steven Seagal...
They're very slow. They're very slow at this point in his life.
It seems as he's aging, the martial arts seem to be slowing down. Now, I don't know if that's a worldwide phenomenon where martial arts have slowed down in general, because I'm not an expert on martial arts. However, it seems wherever he is, the martial arts go a little slower, and it's almost like they're not even really trying to hit him. They're trying to hit his hands where his hand's supposed to catch a punch. Like, if I was going to fight Steven Seagal, I don't think that I would go and punch low, like, right into his fist. I'd probably go after his head or, like, sweep the leg or whatever. But it almost seemed, I don't want to say it's orchestrated. It almost seems orchestrated at this point, these shows. But people love it. The people absolutely love it. He will sell out these martial arts shows, and he'll be there, and someone will come, and they'll do a very slow, and then they'll grab his hand, and they'll flip it over, and then someone else will come, almost to the point where they're going at him, and then they pause before they get right to him. So, like, they're going at him, and they're like, whoa, Steven's not ready yet. Now, again, I don't know how martial arts work nowadays. Maybe this is a new form of martial arts, but people will go, they'll pause, and then they'll keep going right into his hand again. Quick kick right into his hands, grabs the leg, flips him over. And then it's just over and over again with like 50, 30 people doing it over and over again, nonstop.
Speaking of nonstop.
Oh, my God.
He also will do this everywhere he goes.
God. Get out of here. Get out of here. Just get out of here. You want to get out of here anyway because about what I'm about to talk about, you don't want to be around it. You don't want to get in trouble on a day Mike's not here and he took the Magic creative content with him because I got to start talking about what happened with Trump last night. It was deeply offensive.
Let's get back to me.
No. Yeah, I'm going to send you out of here in a second, too, if anyone else tries to block me on this without Mike Ryan around here to protect people and Billy out here yammering, trying to keep me off a subject, just yammering about Steven Seagal nonstop. So what happened last night, this felt un-American, what happened last night, okay? Basically a chant, send her back, is not, it's not the America that my parents came to get for us, for exiles, for brown people. Like, there's a racial division in this country that's being instigated by the president, and we here at ESPN haven't had the stomach for that fight because Jamel did some things on Twitter, and you saw what happened after that. And then here, all of a sudden, nobody talks politics on anything unless we can use one of these sports figures as a meat shield in the most cowardly possible way to discuss these subjects. But what happened last night at this rally is deeply offensive, done by the president of our country. And this tweet from Nick Wright, if you're listening to people chant, send her back, about a Somali refugee who serves in Congress. Nick Wright writes, I don't talk politics on here, but this isn't political. This is obvious. This is abhorrent, obviously racist, dangerous rhetoric, and not calling it out makes you complicit. The send her back chant and the go back to where you came from are so antithetical to what we should be. It is so right what he is saying there. It is so wrong what the president of our country is doing, trying to go down, getting reelected by dividing the masses at a time when the old white man, the old rich white man feels oppressed, being attacked by minorities, black people, brown people, women. That's who we're going after now. Black people, brown people, women, and that's the, like, let's do it as the platform. That's what you're seeing. And the only way we can discuss it around here, because this isn't about politics, it's about race. What you're seeing happening around here is about race, and it's been turned into politics. And we only talk about it around here when Steve Kerr Popovich says something. We don't talk about what is happening unless there's some sort of weak, cowardly sports angle that we can run it through, when sports has always been a place where this stuff changes. Man, Muhammad Ali was fighting for this stuff in the 60s. The Bill Russell and Jim Brown are really old. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is old. These people who were fighting, the most powerful among us in sports, who are fighting in the civil rights era for things, atrocities happening to black people that we're still paying for now in a country where this is our greatest sin. What has happened to minorities in this country? They're old and dying. Jim Brown walks with a cane, man. He walks with a cane. He's going to go to the grave without having seen change. He's going to go to the grave with Colin Kaepernick still out of the league, literally blackballed, because we're taking this stuff and making it about the flag when it's not about the flag. It's about race, like burning a cross and saying it's about God. This isn't about the flag. This is deeply offensive to me as somebody whose parents made all the sacrifices to get to this country. Send her back. How are you any more American than her? You're more privileged. You're whiter. You're richer. But people don't know whether your money's real or not. You've had every privilege afforded to you by America. Every privilege. And now what you do with that power is you go after brown people and black people and minorities. And around here, we won't talk about it. We won't talk about it unless Russell Wilson is saying something about it on his Instagram page. Then we have the power to run with it. Weak-ass shield. It is antithetical to what we should be. And if you're not calling it abhorrent, obviously racist, dangerous rhetoric, you're complicit.
Aquí lo que importa es el catch.
So what happened to Chris?
It's infuriating, man. Stay cool this summer. Get yourself a Casper mattress. Sleep cool. Sleep comfortable. Tell them, Stu God.
It's the middle of the night. You're tossing and turning, not sleeping, drenched, covered in sweat. It's not the AC. It's your heat-trapping mattress, so get rid of it and get a Casper. The Casper mattress combines 4 layers of pressure-relieving foams for all-night comfort. Plus, breathable foams are designed to keep you cool all night, all summer long. Sleep cool and comfortable every night. Get a Casper. Try yours for 100 nights with free shipping and returns. Go to Casper.com. Use code STU for $100 towards the purchase of select mattresses. That's Casper.com, code STU. Additional terms and conditions apply. See Casper.com/terms.
Coming up, more of the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Barbasol. For the past 100 years, generations of men have trusted Barbasol shaving cream for a close, comfortable shave.
The great thing about facts, they're proven. Like the fact that crude oil contains impurities. Or that base oil made from natural gas is 99.5% free of impurities. And the fact that Pennzoil is the first synthetic motor oil made from natural gas, not crude oil. It gives you unbeatable engine protection. The proof is in the Pennzoil. Based on Sequence 4A wear test using SAE 5W30. Ask for it at Jiffy Lube.
Stugatz here. We all have home projects we put off for too long. What's stopping you? For lots of people, they worry about overpaying and not getting a fair price. That's where Home Advisor can help. Their True Cost Guide shows you what others paid for similar projects. Then you can get matched with top-rated pros, read reviews, request quotes, and book appointments, all for free. Home Advisor makes it easy to get those projects done so you can relax this summer. To find the right pro at a fair price, just ask Home Advisor. Go to homeadvisor.com or download the free app.
I'm Jordan Glass with your sports update on ESPN Pensacola 94.5. For your Pensacola Blue Wahoos, after a day off and 3 straight losses, they'll be back in action coming up later on this evening at 6:35 on the road taking on the Mississippi Braves. You can catch the game with Chris Garagiola right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5's Following the Sports Drive. For your UWF Argos, we are 49 days away from the start of the football season for 2019. You can get your home game tickets online, Argo fans, at GoArgos.com. I'm Jordan Glass with your sports update on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies, and rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, for a man age 45 non-tobacco user, it's $1 million of coverage at $75 per month, level rate for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco user can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110 per month, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rate guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well at At TermBusters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for a new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote at 1-866-929-1950. That's 1-866-929-1950. You're probably paying more than you should. Call TermBusters at 1-866-929-1950. That's 1-866-929-1950. Remember, 1-866-929-1950. Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes for preferred non-tobacco underwriting. Exam required to qualify.
Excuse me, I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada, nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me, and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So, I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume, and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
He was a star quarterback at Pensacola High, played alongside Gator great Steve Spurrier, and rose up the ranks to become head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Now, he's talking football on ESPN Pensacola 945. Coach K brings football to life year-round. The teams, the players, and the front office. Talk football with Coach K every day at noon on your radio. And Coach K live on Facebook and YouTube at ESPN Pensacola 945.
Some might argue that the hamburger is the perfect food. Great for any occasion, you don't need utensils, and good almost any time of the day or night. And Denny's 100% beef burger lineup features bold flavors and fresh ingredients, like the spicy sriracha burger and the bourbon bacon burger, which are both perfectly delicious. Perhaps the Denny's burger is one of the world's most perfect foods. Stop by and decide for yourself. See you at Denny's. Price and participation may vary. Limited time only.
Our Pensacola Wahoos are back for another season, and with the new season comes some fresh and new changes. Our Wahoos are now the new AA affiliate of the Minnesota Twins, and they have a new broadcast home here in Pensacola, right here at your hometown station for hometown sports, ESPN Pensacola 945. Catch all the Wahoos action from home and away with Chris Garagiola. Wahoos baseball presented by Denny's on the new official flagship station for the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 945 and ESPNpensacola.com. Talk football every day at noon with Pensacola's own legendary Coach K on your radio, on Facebook, and on YouTube at ESPN Pensacola 945.
Don Lebatard.
What did I just hear you saying about CPR? CRP? What was it? What was that acronym? That hideous thing that I don't want anywhere near the show?
CSR.
What is that?
Corporate Social Responsibility.
Oh, bleep off.
Stugats.
Like, what is that? Man, why'd you hire me?
This is the Don Lebatard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
If you missed any of our interviews, go check them out on demand in the Dan Le Batard podcast, brought to you by the Capital One Saver Card, or 4% cash back on dining and entertainment, 2% at grocery stores, and 1% on all other purchases. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Nick Wright, thanks for having the balls to say something they won't let us say around here. Fort Wayne 5 tonight. Fort Wayne 5 is tonight. And Billy, you've conjured, you're like Tom Hanks in Castaway. You've conjured fire out of a plume of smoke. What began as you just, I don't even know how it began. What, were we feuding with Dan Dockich or something? Indianapolis has not supported our show, and so tonight we're going to take over Fort Wayne.
Well, we're an acquired taste, and sometimes it takes people a little longer to get used to us than others. So, in Indianapolis right now, we're still at the point where you're not used to the taste of us yet, but we're growing. We're slowly growing. But in Fort Wayne, Oh, they love our taste in Fort Wayne. They like our taste in Fort Wayne so much that there was 5 whole people that reached out to us and said we liked it so much. And I said, well, you got to prove it to us. And then it was just empty words. I didn't think anything would come of it. And then it turned into this day, Fort Wayne 5, Dan Le Batard Show Appreciation Day at the Tin Caps Stadium, Parkview Field, I believe, in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
The proud home of Harry Balls.
Correct. Former Mayor Harry Balls was the mayor of Fort Wayne, Indiana, for those of you lacking that context.
And his wife, Minnie Balls.
Yep, don't leave her out.
Yep, Minnie Balls, yes, was married to Harry Balls. And that's all going down tonight. Get there early, 5:30, I believe, gates open. You can get T-shirts at the stadium entrance. You can get T-shirts from the affiliate down there for ESPN.
It's basically drinking. Mike Ryan's headed out there. It takes 7 flights for him to get there, but he is headed out there to drink beers on this unofficial night. It's been proclaimed our day there, right? Fort Wayne, get that sound, Roy, of the mayor proclaiming it our day tonight in Fort Wayne.
Correct. This is just an occurrence. This is all unofficial, even though the mayor made it a proclamation, so he officially made the unofficial day, which is all kinds of confusing going on here. But yeah, this was him yesterday on the show. He came on in the local hour, and he proclaimed today Dan Le Batard Show Day.
Whereas Fort Wayne is the Dan Le Batard with Stugatz town, it always has been and always will be. And whereas the Fort Wayne 5 get the show, and for any other city in the state of Indiana who does not, we would just have to agree to disagree.
Oh, no!
Whereas the show is typically a marching band to nowhere, the Fort Wayne 5 just gets it done as captains of the Stugatz Army.
Wow.
Now, therefore, I, Thomas Henry, Mayor of the City of Fort Wayne, do hereby proclaim July 18th, 2019 as the unofficial Dan Le Batard with Stugatz Occurrence Day in the City of Fort Wayne.
So we were all touched by that. The whole thing is absurd. We've done nothing for this city.
Don't forget, it's also Thirsty Thursday.
Yep.
I believe it's $1 beers. So head on out to Parkview Field. And if there's no games at Parkview Field on game day, the mayor yesterday told us, hey, concession stands are open all year round, every single day. If you want to go have lunch out there during a work day, no game, no problem. Parkview Field, you're home for lunch.
So it's the official, unofficial day.
Correct.
Yep, got it.
And where can people Instagram go follow Mike Ryan stories if you want to see? It's basically partying with our show. However we can get there. Some of us can't get there because it takes too many flights. Correct?
Exactly.
It's partying with Mike.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's get to some funny sound here if we can. Oh, it's on TV here too. Zlatan is one of the best interviews anywhere in sports. And Stugatz, I thought this was such a wonderful, just arrogance. His arrogance is endearing. It's charming. I don't know how he pulls that one off, but Carlos Vela has been the best player in MLS. But Zlatan, who's coming here, older. He had a bicycle kick he made the other day. The first goal he scored was from 50 yards out after he came to Los Angeles and said, "You're welcome," in newspaper ads. "You're welcome, LA. The Zlatan is here."
Took his shirt off after that goal, right? Ran around the entire field.
Yes,
yeah.
he's got he's got sort of the romance novel ponytail. Like, he should play riding on a white horse. He's amazing. He's from another time. And what he said when he was asked about who is the best player in MLS, when clearly the stats support that Carlos Vela is better than anybody statistically. But listen to what Zlatan says when they ask him, is there a player in MLS better than Zlatan?
You said right now you're the best player in Major League Soccer. There's another player in Los Angeles, Carlos Vela. In this moment, he's got 19 goals, 12 assists, and his team is leading Major League Soccer. Do you still consider yourself the best player in Major League Soccer?
By far. Because if he's in his prime, how old is he?
Carlos Vela's 29.
29. He's playing in MLS and he's in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 29, where was I?
Yeah, you were in Europe.
Big difference.
Yeah.
He's right.
This is minor
That's right.
leagues.
Yeah.
America, minor leagues. Let's go. When I was 29, they were paying me a lot of euros in a place where they cared about soccer, not bringing my old ass over here to bail you guys out now because I'm famous and great.
But the question wasn't who's better when you were 29 and when he was 29. It's just who's better right now.
That's correct. But he took it and he pivoted like you. He's like,
that's great.
You're absolutely right. Who's better right now? Probably Carlos Vela, but not at talking. Because Zlatan just buried him by saying, yes, he's a nice player, and he scores a lot of goals over here with your cruddy American soccer. At Levitard Show on Twitter is where you vote on the polls. What do you have there, Stugat?
Is the most Billy thing ever to say, long story short, even though it's already a long story. 98% of the audience said yes.
Wow. Just 98?
Yes.
Only 98?
Does the song Here Comes the Hot Stepper hold up? I think it does, man. 58% of the audience said no.
Are you kidding me?
Nope.
Oh, that's offensive.
That's pretty bad.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Levitard Show. What's more offensive, that opinion on Hot Stepper or what Trump did last night?
At Levitard Show on Twitter, are you signing Haynes King without ever seeing him do anything? Guys, this has never happened before.
Are you kidding me?
Never in the history of the show.
No way.
What is it?
And I can't believe it happened here because Haynes King, if I get a call and I'm a GM and there's a scout, rogue scout, who says, hey, I'm out in the field in Iowa with a quarterback named Haynes King and he's got a cannon, I'm like, sign the kid up. Let's go. But this has never happened before. 50% of the audience said, yeah. And 50% of the audience said, nah.
Never seen that before, man.
Crazy. First time. If your buddy comes to the game with a laser pointer, should you lose your season tickets?
Oh, we never got into that conversation. Well, how did we misplace that conversation today?
Always tomorrow, Dad.
If put that in the file of things that we forget that we should bring up tomorrow. I want to know what the consequences would be if Billy went to a game and had season tickets, and Chris came and brought a laser pointer and got kicked out and fined $500, and then Billy lost his season tickets. I want to come to a conclusion on what Chris would owe Billy.
All right, we will. You guys have that on the calendar for tomorrow? Good.
Right
All
now, yeah.
66% of the audience said yes. You should lose your season tickets. Is College Game Day the most fun ESPN has? 75% of the audience said yes, and the Twitter polls are brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Dollar Shave Club delivers the products you use to look, feel, and smell your best right to your door. Plus, with their handsome discount, the more you buy, the more you save. Go to dollarshaveclub.com/Dan for a special offer.
Chris, why are you dancing?
That's me skating, because right now I'm skating. Yeah. you know why.
Why? No, it's an audio medium. It's not a visual. It is also on television, but you want to explain to the people what you're doing?
I will tell you that Chris is getting buried right now on social media. I will tell you because of his prediction yesterday, he felt the need to rush in when I'm on my Koepka rant to tell me that Tiger was going to eat him up for lunch.
Play that sound. Play that sound, even if it clips us.
Tiger's the man, and Tiger is going to own Brooks Koepka this weekend, by the way. Prediction.
Whoa! It's a bad course for Tiger. It's a bad setup.
And he's playing really bad right now. But I'm telling you, watch Tiger this weekend.
Well, what are you doing? That's not. We'll always watch Tiger. Why did you come with what you thought was a really strong golf take, and then at the end of it, it's watch Tiger this weekend, which is the weakest possible way you can
why did Roy react so strongly?
No, because everyone is saying, and the quotes yesterday is Tiger saying that his game's not sharp right now. And I'm telling you, he's going to turn it on.
Okay, but I don't care what you're telling me.
We will talk to you mañana. This was the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
This is what Flo from Progressive sounds like in one of our many hilarious commercials.
Hi, did you know that you can get a quote on your motorcycle insurance in under 3 minutes at Progressive.com? And did you know that saying hi makes even bad news sound good? Hi, you have high cholesterol. Hi, you're fine.
And this is what that same commercial sounds like on your motorcycle.
Hi, there's no more cake.
Yeah, even our commercials sound better on a bike. And with basic policy starting at $75 a year, Progressive helps keep you on yours. Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Annual premium for basic liability policy not available in all states.
You make a million tough business decisions every day. So here's the easiest one of the year. Dell's Cyber Monday in July is back and bigger than ever. Get no-brainer deals on the very latest computers with Intel Core processors and a huge selection of servers, electronics, and more. All with free shipping on everything. To make your decision even easier, Dell's small business technology advisors can help you find just the right tech. Call 877-BUY-DELL. That's an easy call to make at 877-BUY-DELL or visit Dell.com/smallbusiness.
At ESPN Pensacola 94.5, we are football. When UWF scores that game-winning touchdown on your home for the Argos, we are football. When your favorite high school team celebrates a victory on Friday night under the lights on the game of the week, we are football. When former NFL coach Kay Stevenson gives his expert advice, we are football. With Golick and Wingo in the morning and Paul Feinbaum in the afternoon. College alumni shows at 1 from Alabama to Florida. And the Sports Drive at 5 with legendary SEC interviews like Gene Stallings and Pat Dye. We are football. The weekends are made for football in the South. So wake up Saturday mornings with College Game Day, the Sports Call, and the biggest NCAA games of the week. On Sunday, sit down with Pensacola's best of the NFL like Fred Robbins and Fantasy Football Inside from the Fantasy Sleepers, followed by the best NFL football games from coast to coast. So in all, we're not just football, we are local football. ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit ignition.
And then?
And then nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite.
Look out! Look out!
And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
What'd you do this time, Brad?
I'm in the doghouse after my hunting trip last weekend.
Yeah, I was too. I blew off our date for an FSU game.
How'd you get out of the doghouse?
Stillwater's Day in Medical Spa. I got her a gift card. It took 3 minutes at swmedspa.com. She booked it this Saturday.
Saturday? So 9 holes then?
Tee time's at 8.
To enjoy a hassle-free guys' weekend, let her relax at Stillwater's Day in Medical Spa. Visit swmedspa.com. Stillwater's Day in Medical Spa. Voted Best Day Spa 8 years in a row.
We know what you want. Good, healthy food that tastes great. Well, we're here to tell you it doesn't exist. Healthy food is for suckers, and if you say you like it, you're nothing but a chump. Be honest, this is what you want to eat. A gigantic burger from Steak Burger. It tastes amazing. What's in it? Who cares? How many calories? Shut up. It's awesome. So get over to Steak Burger now and get one in your belly, or you're a nerd. Feed your hunger the right way. Give it a Steak Burger, 440 East Chase Street, Pensacola.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns. And that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there. We are broadcasters. Visit wearebroadcasters.com or text radio to 52886 to learn more. Furnished by NAB and this station.
This is Pensacola's hometown all-sports station and home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 94.5. Catch all the Wahoos games home and away all season, plus all the latest Wahoos news from Chad Brilliante on the Sports Drive, 5 till game time weeknights. And hey, if your business would like to partner with us as an advertiser or with a local sports promotion, then give us a call at 850-262-6000 or shoot us an email from the advertise page on ESPNpensacola.com.
All sports, all the time. ESPN Pensacola, 94.5 WYCT Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach Kay Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5. You're listening to Talk Football with Coach K. I'm Davis Allen. And as always, joining me is head football coach, formerly head of the Buffalo Bills, our very own Coach K. Stevenson. Coach, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Davis. Good to be with you.
Always good to be with you, Coach. We have a lot going on in the football world. Of course, SEC Media Days are going on, and currently at the podium is Gus Malzahn of Auburn University. And we'll be talking about him and his possible, we'll see. We'll see about his future at Auburn, but also we heard from Mark Stoops of Kentucky, as well as Derek Mason of the Vanderbilt University. But, Coach, we do want to mention a couple of headlines that occurred earlier today. First, I want to talk about Alabama. Yesterday, they had their opportunity to speak at Media Day, and we had a few of their players speak. And one of them, a linebacker, goes up to the podium, and he was asked the question if he believes that is Alabama right now better than Clemson. Now, if I play for Alabama, my obvious answer is just based on pride, I'm going to say yes. We may have had a rough go of it at the national championship, but yes, we are the better team. That could be my natural reaction, and the player does go on to say that. Now, as a coach, how would you want your player to address that kind of question, especially after you were defeated so bad in the national championship?
Just be very honest, but don't say anything that might be bulletin board material. Now, it's difficult to avoid that, but you can say something to the extent that I would certainly not be a very good teammate if I felt that we weren't as good as another team. We feel we're as good as any team, or as good or better than any team in the country. So we have to feel that way in order to win. We can't win if we take an inferior approach toward anything to do with football, and we're not going to do that. We're going to approach it that we're the best, but we've got to do we got a lot of work to do to stay there.
And, of course, Alabama looking to continue to build on their success. Coming up in the class of 2021, looking ahead, Drake May. The last name may sound familiar if you're a basketball fan. His brother Luke May just graduated from the University of North Carolina as a basketball player, but he signed on as a quarterback, a pocket passing quarterback in the 2021 class. Alabama's looking to continue to build in the quarterback position, especially after Tua leaves. But also another good quarterback that we're going to see sooner, Texas A&M signs the #1 quarterback in the 2020 class for both dual threat and pocket passers, Haynes King. He is a dual threat quarterback, but he is the #1 overall ranked quarterback for the 2020 class, and he has committed to Texas A&M. Texas A&M, coach, recruiting-wise, is keeping up with Alabama. They are right there in tow with them. This is looking to turn into a really, really good matchup in the SEC West.
Well, there's no doubt about that. We've talked about continually here what a good situation Texas A&M is. My goodness, if you drew it up on paper, if you sat down and had just a blank opening, okay, blank sheet there to put together whatever you would want in a school to go coach. All right. How about let's start with a school with an awful lot of tradition that goes back a long, long way back, really a lot further than most other schools do. Number 2, got 108,000 seat stadium. Other great facilities there, great facilities. You're located right in the middle of one of the great recruiting states, if not maybe the best. Texas, Florida, California have to be the 3 top recruiting states, or states for recruits. And you're located in Texas, but you're playing in the most dominant conference, most publicized, most TV time conference in the country, the Southeastern Conference. You're going to play the Alabama's, the LSU's, the Georgias, and you add into that the fact that you have almost unlimited resources there. And what do you have? You've got an ideal situation. I think it's maybe, I can't imagine one better other than maybe Alabama, maybe Clemson being, on a par. I think they're all going to be on a par. I really do. LSU's in there. But it's a great situation. I'm not surprised that they are landing recruits. Jimbo's a good recruiter, and I'm sure he's a very persuasive recruiter. So it's going to be interesting to see how they continue to recruit, because they certainly have everything else in tow.
Keeping it in the SEC, Gus Malzahn currently speaking at the SEC Media Days. One thing you can expect to hear is him talking about the quarterback situation. You have Joey Gatewood and Bo Nix both competing for the starting quarterback position. We could be expecting to see both quarterbacks play against Oregon, but one of the other big topics that we would expect Gus having to address would be his status in job security for the remainder of this season. Coach, what exactly needs to happen for Gus Malzahn to keep his job? Because I would imagine an 8-win, 9-win season, that could send him out the door.
Well, it's very, very simple. It's going to be wins, just like you say, but strategic wins are key too, because he can't just. It's not just beating Missouri State. You know, he's got to beat. He's got Alabama. He's got LSU. He's got Texas A&M. He's got Florida. He's got Georgia. He's got a tough schedule. Now he's going to open up with Oregon. And let me tell you, Oregon is going to be a very, very important football game for both teams, and for a quarterback on both teams, for Auburn, both for Auburn and for Herbert up at Auburn, Oregon. So I'm looking forward to watching that game for sure. But, yeah, you know, it's not out of the realm. If Oregon, God forbid, they come out and do a Mexican hat dance on him, he could be gone after the first game. He's in a very tenuous situation, and I know he was stepping. He was in quicksand last year, and they pulled him out. He got pulled. I think his contract pulled him out last year, saved him, but it's not going to be the case this year.
972-1945 is the phone number if you want to be a part of the Talk Football with Coach K. And looking ahead in the show, right after this break, Bill Carr is going to be joining us, a very special guest. He is a former teammate of yours truly, Coach K. He was the star center at Pensacola State, an All-State All-American. He was also an All-American at the University of Florida, even serving as the athletic director of the University of Florida, as well as the University of Houston. He'll be joining us here in just a couple of minutes. But, Coach, before we take that break, with SEC Media Days coming on, we've heard from many coaches, we've heard from many teams, and one of the coaches that we did get a chance to hear from earlier today was Mark Stoops, recently receiving Tate High School's very own Sawyer Smith transfer out of Troy University. He had an opportunity, Mark Stoops had an opportunity to address the media, and he also had to address a lot of the success they had last year and then carrying that over to this year. Is it possible to see Kentucky compete in the SEC East despite having Georgia and a revamped Florida?
I got to be very, very honest. It's going to be tough, but let me tell you what they do have going for them right now. They have a renewed sense of confidence. Okay, they won last year. By golly, it happened. People didn't just talk about it, and it didn't happen again. It happened. They've certainly got some momentum built up behind that program. They've got fans involved now. Really, a lot of enthusiasm. They've got a good football team coming back, even though they lost two very, very good football players. One a high number one, the pass rusher, and then the back, Schnell, who was a good back. It's not easy for Kentucky. Kentucky can't plug and play like Clemson and Alabama can, where it's just great athletes just on standby, and the depth chart just waiting to be plugged in. That's not the case. It's going to be difficult for them. I think what they've got in Sawyer Smith, I got to be honest with you, I think that's a win-win for them, for him and for them. And they needed a quarterback that could throw the football. That was the one thing they didn't have last year that could have made them better. If they get him now, and they have anything left in the way of skill in the passing game, I think it's going to enhance their chance to win, certainly against better football teams.
Well, Coach, we're going to take a quick timeout because after this break, we are going to have the opportunity to speak with Bill Carr, whom I just mentioned, a former teammate of yours, a star center at Pensacola High School, as well as the University of Florida. He's going to be joining Talk Football with Coach K right after this timeout. You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Your family and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
And now, the worst commercial ever.
Say, Jan, as a fellow respected small business professional, I wonder, who do you use for commercial auto and business insurance?
Progressive, of course. They helped with a customized insurance solution for my busy florist company.
I'm so glad we had this chance encounter in this busy restaurant.
Yes, that fake conversation was brutal. Whereas commercial auto and business insurance through Progressive is anything but. Visit progressivecommercial.com to quote today. Insurance provided and serviced by Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. It's affiliated and third-party insurers.
This human resources professional is a rock star thanks to Kronos. And this is her hype song.
I'm the spark before the fire. I'm the power in the train.
Have HR, payroll, talent, and time.
I'm the dream and you should know that.
Now we're engaging all the best people.
Kronos, HR solutions for the modern workforce and the people who support them. Learn more at kronos.com/HR swagger.
Don't drop the ball this football season. Make Tom Thumb your game day destination. We are your first round pick for snacks, chips, dips, and drinks. Are you tailgating before the game? Don't get blindsided. Head to Tom Thumb for all your supplies. Score big savings with our rewards card. You'll earn 4 fuel points for every dollar spent in store. From hot dogs and buns to ice and propane, Tom Thumb has you covered to help you enjoy the game. For the ultimate game day, team up with Tom Thumb, the local store for local champions.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5. You're listening to Talk Football with Coach K. I'm Davis Allen. Joined alongside me, as always, Coach K. Stevenson. And, Coach, we have a very special guest with us on the phone. I'll go ahead and throw it on over to you.
Okay, Davis, we do have a special guest, and someone who many of you out there in this area are familiar with. He did leave us and go a little bit to the south down there. But Bill Carr is with us, and let me just refresh your memory a little bit. Of course, Bill was an All-State, first-team All-State center at Pensacola High School. Went to the University of Florida, was first-team All-American there, was the starting center all during Spurrier's years, and was captain of the football team, which was kind of par for the course for Bill. He later became and I'm skipping over a few things, but he later became the athletic director at the University of Florida. Did an outstanding job a few years after that, after he resigned from that, he became the athletic director at the University of Houston. Did a good job there. Hired Kim Elton out at Houston, by the way, the head coach out there. Kim, oddly enough, a little trivia, the Helton family, and Kim's son is now the head coach at Southern Cal out there. But the Hilton family came from Pensacola, and Kim followed Bill as the center at Florida for the next 3 years. So for 6 years, University of Florida had two guys at center. But anyway, Bill hired Kim out at Houston, and Kim, of course, got his son involved in coaching, and so the story goes. Then Bill started a group, put together a business called Car Sports Associates, and they're very influential with colleges and universities as advisors and consultants, and talk about everything from whether an athletic program is viable financially or not, coaching changes. They're involved with that, and many other things. It's just a very, very interesting guy to talk with and to get information from. And, you know, after yesterday's very interesting interview with Bill Valona, we learned about had an idea, but we learned for sure about some of the problems going on at Florida State. And we had heard before that, Auburn is taking a 10% cut, making a 10% cut on all their athletic budget. I think Ole Miss is cutting 8.5%. We have to face the facts here, and it's happening. So I want to get Bill involved. I thought about Bill yesterday. Gosh, it would have been good to have him on the phone then, but next best thing is have him on today and talk about all this. So, Bill, thanks for coming on with us, buddy.
Well, thank you, Kay. I appreciate the invitation. Look forward to our discussion.
Well, let's start with exactly where we left off there, with colleges and universities and the athletic departments, and where we're going, what the trend is, and then we're going to get into quite a few other things. But let's start there, and in particular, if you can hit on Florida State and maybe Florida and Auburn, whatever.
Well, Kay, again, I appreciate the opportunity to address the folks there in the beautiful city of Pensacola, who has such fond memories of so many aspects of the place, but nothing more attractive to me than Pensacola Beach. I'm telling you, the people and the beach at Pensacola, those are the two things that sit in the highest position in my memories, and just love the beauty of the beach and the beauty of the people, both in spirit and in their loyal support for everything that goes in the positive direction. So anyone listening out there that's old enough to have been our acquaintance, we send our greetings today. But intercollegiate athletics, you talk about an industry that has changed now, Kay. It is extraordinary, and I look at it from a lens that goes all the way back to the days when you and I were teammates at Pensacola High School, when Jimmy Haynes was our coach there at PHS in the early 1960s. That's a million years ago, and but at the time that we went to the University of Florida, you and I were there together also in the early 60s. Things were so different in our experience at campus than they are today. There are many, many similar activities, of course, the classroom work, trying to balance all the things that are involved in being a full-time student and also being a full-time football player. In our case, that's the sport in which we were engaged, of course, and that's the main revenue sport at most places in America. Some places it's basketball, but certainly in the SEC, with the exception of Kentucky, where probably basketball gains a little more revenue, but that's an anomaly. Everybody else is making it off of their football programs, and but the thing that has changed so dramatically, okay, there are several things that are going on, and the rate of change, the innovations, the impact of science and technology on the industry is just extraordinary. The number of nutritional issues and scientific issues like GPS systems that help you track an athlete's fatigue levels and body signs of his physiology, his or her physiology, and how to coach that student athlete, and the winning edge it provides. In fact, Vanderbilt, having just won the Southeastern Conference championship in baseball, and there they go on and win the NCAA College World Series. And some of that technology helped them in developing their pitching staff to a fine point of excellence that really was the winning edge for them. And that came from some of the technology, the innovations that they used. So that's a complex area, but those are the ramifications financially, and that's the other piece I was going to mention, and the topic that you wanted to focus on today. It's cost so much money to be competitive in the industry, and that's why schools, as you mentioned, Auburn cutting back 10% and Mississippi State cutting back 8.5%. I can't speak with certainty as to whether they had to do that or whether they were just trying to be proactive, but it's understandable because you can spend any amount of money that you want to spend and can justify under your budgeting picture, because there are so many options to spend those dollars on, and the revenues are difficult to achieve. Football attendance is down nationally over the last several years, and there are many reasons for that, but most of it is just the sheer comfort and the competition of television opportunities. So it is a complex circumstance, Kay, that we're talking about here. Are there particular areas of focus that you would like to hear me illustrate more deeply?
Well, yeah, Bill, I know that's a good overall rundown, and the bottom line is that there's some problems ahead. I know Bill Valona talking about the FSU problem, and it's significant. It's almost understandable, because here is a program that looks like it's in free fall, collapse. They did not necessarily. I mean, there's a lot of bad publicity about how the climate had changed at Florida State in the way they conducted practices and game organization and so on. But attendance is way the heck down. Season tickets just almost back to a pre-Bill Peterson era. And the contributions to the athletic program are minimal at best. At the very best, they're minimal. And there doesn't look to be a quick fix in store. So what are you going to do? You got budgets out there, Bill, you're well aware of what they're more or less committed to spend over the next, let's say, 5, 10, 5, 6, 7 years anyway, and with schedules and all that they're committed to, it's not a pretty picture at all. And if there's anything else like on that Florida State situation, what they're going to have to do to pull out of it, and I think we all know, but go ahead and elaborate on it if you will.
I will, and the situation at FSU is a good example, because when you look at the statistics, the comparison of revenue and expense budgets, the most recent data that has been compiled by USA Today and presented is the 2016-17 data, which is literally 2 years old. But it is empirical numbers that have come forward from official records of those institutions, and it shows a budget at Florida State as being the highest in the Atlantic Coast Conference. The FSU's budget that year was $144 million, and it showed a very slight excess of revenues over expenses. But I understand from a recent article that I read just earlier this month, a week and a half ago or so, indicated that FSU had lost $3 million last year. and in their operating expense. So that's not a good trend for them. But they have some other things that are even more discouraging for them, and that is pertaining to their attendance issues and their season ticket sales. I can't quote you exact figures in that regard, but I can tell you that that with the downward trend that they experienced last year, that is a concern of great significance to them, because at that level, it doesn't take much to create issues. But the main point I would want to emphasize at this time, I think the primary category, Kay, in a demonstration of excess in intercollegiate athletics that has led to a lot of the problems from an expense side, is what schools are paying coaches now is excessive beyond realism. It is not sustainable to pay coaches the kind of money that we as an industry are paying them now. And of course, when Jimbo Fisher left FSU to go to Texas A&M, most even casual college football fans can quote you the statistics of his contract there. It was a 10-year contract, guaranteed at $75 million, an average of $7.5 million over 10 years, guaranteed. Now, I would contend to you that that's excessive, because compensation, as any management theorist will tell you, compensation gets to a point where it's no longer an incentive. At the end of the day, that's a disincentive, because he would have to break some significant laws in our nation in order to put those compensation levels in jeopardy. And there's just no way that even Texas A&M, with its extraordinary wealth, and they had, by the way, the second highest level, and then I understand that they in Texas, those two schools are pushing the top to be the highest level of revenue and expense in college athletics. Both the University of Texas and Texas A&M. That if anybody can afford it, it's Texas A&M, but it's not a practical thing to do. We just can't justify paying coaches that much money, within the higher education context. Are they worth it from a commercial standpoint? I would say that argument could be made, and I could express that in terms that would try to be convincing that is worth it. But can it be justified in the higher education context? In my best judgment, no, it cannot be. And Kay, the second category that is a jeopardizing circumstance is that of facilities, the excess of facilities that we are spending. I mean, University of Texas just spent $7 million refurbishing its football locker room. University of Florida just this summer just opened, and in fact, this week just announced that or last week, I guess it was, that their new locker room is finished. They spent a little over $1 million in that refurbishing. But can you imagine that Texas spent 7 times that much? You get into those excessive areas, but I think FSU, getting back to that point, okay, they have their work cut out for them, to say the least. And now the contract that they have with their current coach, who had a very difficult season last year because he did inherit some deficiencies within the talent level at FSU, and some people question his abilities as a coach. I can't speak to that. I've not researched him for a search that I've been involved in to give a final assessment of that, but I do know that he's got his hands full trying to deal with that situation, and they are indicating that they are struggling financially, and there are no short solutions. But the one hope that they have is that the Atlantic Coast Conference is just opening. They're coming on with their Atlantic Coast Conference television network, and hopefully some of those new revenues will be helpful to them in being able to balance their budget. They're also doing some things to reorganize how their booster structure is arranged and giving the university greater control of how those dollars are spent. There's some things that their booster organization did in the last couple of years that have drawn criticism. I can't comment on the validity of those things, but obviously the university leadership is concerned. That's why they've restructured at FSU.
Yeah, well, that's excellent information. I couldn't agree with you more, Bill. The only one that I've heard, and I heard a rather detailed narrative on why Saban is worth every penny at the University of Alabama, and it goes back to utilizing statistics before he came, the precipitous drop-off during a rather difficult time, and then what he's done also in the way of raising money for the general fund for other things in the way of education for the university. Now, when they put all that together, they come up with a compelling reason for why Saban is worth that, and if he wasn't there, was not there, that'd be a totally different picture. So that's the only one that I've heard that I could say in this day and time. But I would have never thought that salaries would have been anywhere near what we're hearing players, coaches, or anybody else. Bill, I'm going to have to take a little quick break here. Could I get you to hold on with us? We're going to take
I'll stand by. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5. We are currently talking to Bill Carr. If you are just now joining us, he was a former All-State football player from Pensacola High School, as well as an All-American at the University of Florida, and he's going to be staying with us right after this break. You're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
Pros do it right to take their business to the next level by relying on trusted brands to get the job done. Lowe's is here to help and help you save. For your next stain job, get a gallon of Valspar One Coat Transparent Stain Plus Sealer starting at $35.98. And we now offer the Little Giant King Combo Ladder, the world's first step, extension, and leaning ladder, giving you the flexibility to do just about any job for only $159. For trusted brands that make the job easier, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's, U.S. only.
The Home Depot is making finding your color and choosing the right paint easier than ever. With curated palettes of this year's most popular colors and new paint selection tools online and in-store, you can confidently select your color and the tools for your next paint project. Now get a colorful new experience with the Home Depot's paint expertise and selection of top quality brands, colors, and finishes. Get your paint project done right with gallons of Behr Premium Plus from just $24.98 at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. U.S. only. See store for details.
Hi, Buster Olney here, and my friends at Marathon are really helping you save because right now you can get 5 cents off every gallon every day with Make It Count rewards from Marathon. Plus, you can earn points for additional savings on fuel, airfare, hotels, and more. It's quick and easy to join. Just visit makeitcount.com/radio or download the free app. So start saving today with Make It Count from Marathon. Offer valid only at participating Marathon locations. Marathon, fueling the American spirit.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck, Bentley. That was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5. You're listening to Talk Football with Coach K, and we are going to continue our interview with Bill Carr, former All-State American from Pensacola High School, as well as All-American from the University of Florida. Coach, I'll send it back over to you.
Okay, Bill, thanks for sticking with us.
Yes, sir.
You know, going back a few years, quite a few years now, I can remember some of the politicians. I was down in Tallahassee, and they were lobbying for this huge enlargement of the Florida State Stadium, which used to be really just like it was a terrible situation, the stadium down there, and they did need some improvements. But to build the edifice that they have there now, and they wanted to get to over 80,000 like Florida. They wanted every seat Florida had. And I made the statement, well, not very seriously, without trying not to hurt anybody's feelings, but I said, you know, when you get to the point that Coach Bowden's gone and the offense changes and you're playing at home, you're playing Wake Forest and North Carolina State and whomever in the ACC, do you think you're going to fill that stadium out there? It's just, you know, in Tallahassee, Florida, the drive to, and with the alumni that's out there, and the teams that they're going to be playing. Now, if you're playing the Auburns and Georgias and Ole Misses and Alabamas and people like that, yeah, you'd have need for a stadium like that, but not playing Wake Forest and North Carolina State, Boston College. You know, it's just. But they built it, and I think now they're paying somewhat of a price for that as well.
Well, yes, and the trend in stadium construction today, Kay, as you know, is to not have the mass seating capability, but the premium seating capability. That's what you want to have, is seating that not so many that you're not going to sell 80,000, but if you can sell 60 to 65,000 regular seats, if you will, and then you can have another 10 or 15,000 that are premium seats. The yield per acre, so to speak, the return on investment and the square footage of viewing space that you have with all the amenities of food and drink and relaxing and atmosphere and air conditioning and indoor circumstance. Those are the things you're looking for. And here's my future prediction in that regard, Kay, is that as legalized sports betting is now the law of the land on a state-by-state basis. Each state has to make their own decisions in the current interpretation of the Supreme Court ruling. So I predict, and I say this with no satisfaction, I say this with regret, but I feel like that stadiums are going to become more like casinos, if you will, because people are going to be coming in there and doing the betting on the games, not just for the end result, but with every snap of the ball. Now, whether that's going to happen in the state of Florida remains to be seen. That's a bigger question politically than it is philosophically, because with the current arrangements we have right now with the Seminole Indian tribe and the control they have over gambling by contract with the state of Florida, those are extremely difficult legal and political, social issues to ferret the best balance, if you will, over the next several years. But that's a big part of what's happening looking ahead also. Whether it happens in this particular state, it is going to happen. nationally on a large scale. We'll have to see how that works out. But again, that's just another part of this business of intercollegiate athletics and sports overall in the United States that is the next iteration.
Yeah, there's even another level of thought too, Bill. I've talked to over the years some people in the National Football League, and theirs goes even a step further in that if you notice, there are a lot of stadiums that are downsizing the seats, have for many years.
Yes,
and
exactly.
They really don't care. They don't care about the number of people in the seats now. In fact, one person laid out a very compelling argument for the fact that National Football League probably at some point in the future will get to the point that stadiums are really rather small, maybe even 15, 20, 25,000 people would come in, and everything will be done more or less on television. That television would rule, and they don't need the in-stadium attendance, nor, I didn't think about it this way, nor the expense of in-stadium attendance and upkeep and maintenance and so on.
Those are real issues looking ahead.
Yeah.
It's an extraordinarily complex situation, but intercollegiate athletics has its own peculiar dynamics at play in there with student athletes, and as you get into the gambling, how do you convince a student athlete to not throw a game or to intentionally miss a free throw or miss a field goal in order to keep the point spread within what the gamblers are predicting? Those are ethical character issues that the administrators and coaches in the future of college athletics will be facing.
Well, that's true, and there's one other saving factor, I guess, for college, in that there's so much pageantry and tradition with college football, where you have 200-person bands and cheerleaders and all of the excitement and tradition that goes with it from the frats, fraternities and sororities and all of the other things that go on before and after a game, in the parking lot with the food and so on. It's those things are going to be tougher, I think, to overcome, especially the addition of the student activity in the stadium other than the game itself.
Yes, sir.
But let's skip on to one other thing here I want to get to, and maybe a couple if we have time here, Bill.
Okay.
What do you hear about right there in the middle of Gatorland? What do you hear about the Gators?
Well, I think there's a great uptick of enthusiasm with the Florida football program. There is a great expectation that Coach Mullen is going to be able to have a championship level program. The successful season they had this past year being Exhibit A in that regard. The complexity of the industry, though, is borne out by something we haven't mentioned elsewhere. Is what's called the new thing is the transfer portal, where athletes are able to register to transfer to different places. And the Gators have lost several key players that they were hoping to keep. They've lost them to the transfer portal, but that's a new dynamic, and every school is facing those issues dramatically. And but overall, I think what's happening with the Florida Gator program is on an upswing of enthusiasm and expectation and talent level. I think that Dan Mullen he is the best prepared coach to come to the University of Florida in a long time because of his 9 seasons. It was either 9 or 10 that he had at Mississippi State as a head coach. The fact that he had been an assistant coach at the University of Florida during a championship period under Urban Meyer, he was the offensive coordinator. So when he came to the University of Florida, he understood the mindset, if you will, the expectations, the perceptions, and the priorities of Gator fans. And so he was able to step in very quickly and say and do the right things to bring some order to the program, because since Steve Spurrier left Florida, there was a parade of coaches, with Urban Meyer being the notable exception, of underqualified coaches, tragically underqualified and incapable coaches of producing at the SEC level, several of whom had not been head coaches previously. And I would tell you from having been a first-time AD at the University of Florida that that's no place to learn how to be an AD, and it's no place to learn how to be a head football coach. When you walk in the door, you need to be totally prepared for the complex and dynamic circumstance in which you're going to be making decisions. And so Dan Mullen comes, and he is prepared for that. I've been impressed with not everything he's done, but with the vast majority of his productivity there, Kay, as a former player and participant in the Florida program. I have even higher expectations for Dan looking ahead.
You know, I agree with you. I think he did a heck of a job this past year. My only concern is, did he outkick his coverage? Meaning, did they perform better than, you know how fans are, especially Florida. You went 10-3 last year.
Yep.
Do you go 12-1 this year and win the national championship? When are you going to win the national championship? And it's too soon to be talking about that. But one clearly evident factor involving Mullen and his coaching ability is how he handled it, Felipe Franks. I'll be honest with you. I said on the air here numerous times, and I don't mind repeating it. I didn't think Florida had a quarterback at all. I didn't.
Yep.
And he came in and really the last 4 games of the year, he turned the kid around some way, somehow, and he came on the last 4. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to line up and play 10 or 12 for you, but he clearly played better, and you got to give him credit for doing a good job, and I give Dan credit for that.
Well, and I agree with you, Kay. The key is being able to establish an array of a scheme, if you will, offensive scheme that fits the skills of the quarterback in question. Whoever that quarterback is, you've got to be able to give them options of what they can do in performance, that you're asking them to do something of which they are capable of performing at a winning level. Because if your requests, your expectations don't match their capabilities, then it's destined to failure. And I think that's the greatest strength that Dan was able to display. I couldn't agree more with what you said about Felipe Franks. I had my doubts, and he exceeded my expectations over the course of the entire season. Overall, I mean, he had some bad moments, of course, but he had some good ones too. And I think that Dan did a masterful job of play calling and directing him, and not only in the physical part, but in the mental as well. Probably the mental even more than the physical.
Well, I think you're right, absolutely, about that. There are a number of other things I'd love to talk to you about, Bill, and I'd like for you to agree to come back on at some point. And
well, we'll be glad to do that, Kay. Thank you so much.
Listen, I want you to
say hello.
Keep in mind that we talked a little before about this, but one really shining light on the hill here for athletics has been the University of West Florida football.
Yes.
Yes. Judy Benz, the president out there, we all met a number of years ago and really discouraged her from trying to start football out there. She would have none of it. She said, we are going to have a football team at the University of West Florida. Well, by golly, she pushed it through. She got it. They got a great young coach out here. They did something that's never been done before. already. Fastest team ever in NCAA history to play for the national championship. It's just unbelievable. Getting great crowds. Give it a little thought. Next time we talk, we'll maybe elaborate on that.
Well, and I agree, and I think very highly of the head coach there. He's a good man. He's cut from the right cloth with his dad having been an NFL player. He grew up in the game, and he understands it. He is I think the best choice they made was allowing him to be their head coach. He's done a phenomenal job.
And he's a quality guy too, first class.
He is, so. Exactly. That's that's where it starts, and that's where he puts himself in a high level in my rating.
You bet. Bill, thanks again, buddy. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5. You were just listening to an interview with Bill Carr, former All-State All-American from Pensacola High School, as well as an All-American with the University of West Florida, including also former athletic director of both University of Florida and University of Houston. We're going to take our final timeout. You're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
Introducing the next generation of SiriusXM with all new features, exclusively on the SiriusXM app and online. Enjoy over 100 ad-free extra channels filled with music for any mood. Create your own ad-free music stations with personalized stations powered by Pandora. Watch video of your favorite shows and performances, and listen in more places than ever because listening outside the car is now included in even more packages. Visit SiriusXM.com/connect to start listening today.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Don't drop the ball this football season. Make Tom Thumb your game day destination. We are your first round pick for snacks, chips, dips, and drinks. Are you tailgating before the game? Don't get blindsided. Head to Tom Thumb for all your supplies. Score big savings with our rewards card. You'll earn 4 fuel points for every $1 spent in store. From hot dogs and buns to ice and propane, Tom Thumb has you covered to help you enjoy the game. For the ultimate game day, team up with Tom Thumb, the local store for local champions.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5. You're listening to Talk Football with Coach K. We just had an amazing interview with former Gator great Bill Carr, All-American over there, as well as a former All-State with Pensacola High School, a teammate of Coach K. And Coach, Before we conclude the show, we do want to thank the sponsors that do make this show possible. Bob Tyler Toyota, Hill Kelly Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Damien's Ice Cream, Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range, Tom Thumb. Coach, I'm probably missing some because we just have a lot of people who help make this show possible.
Right. Well, we do, and we're very, very thankful of that, and we're proud of who they are and what they do for our community. You know, look at the Levin Papantonio law firm, and it's amazing if you just took a yellow pad and put down all the things that they do in the community that they contribute to, and largely responsible for quite a bit of our high standard of living here. And not to mention the fact that they're one of the great law firms in the world, not just the country. Fred Levin's a part of the committee of 100 top attorneys in the country. They have a team approach. They've got everything going for them right here in town. And then you got, we are going to go back and they're going to renew their offer at the shooting range out here, Pensacola Shooting Range, out on North 29, just north of Car City, that if you go in and tell them we sent you from our show Talk Football with Coach K, and you go to the shooting range, you can shoot for half price. They'll let you shoot for half price if you do that, which is a heck of a good deal. If women go out there on Tuesday, they get half price anyway, and they'll take another half price off that. So, good deal. It's the biggest and best in this part of Florida. So, take them up on that.
Well,
go ahead.
I was making sure see if you had covered everybody. I wanted to finish up our conversation. We have about a minute left, but Coach, I really wanted to quickly touch in on transferring in college football. It's sweeping the college football landscape. And Jordan Travis, he's a guy that is transferring. He has transferred into Florida State, but now the question is he going to be eligible into this season? As of right now, Florida State has two active quarterbacks out of James Blackman and Alex Hornibrook, who's immediately eligible from Wisconsin. But we've had two high-profile quarterbacks for Ohio State and Miami both receive immediate eligibility, yet there's still no word left on Jordan Travis. Coach, it's just up in the air on who gets approved and who doesn't.
Well, I'm against this transfer anyway. I think they've got to do something to curtail it. It's amazing, and then you just get open borders, if you will. Nobody has any building component that you need to really build an organization with depth. I don't like it anyway. I'm not going to get into all that. But this kid should, if they've allowed Fields to become eligible immediately, and the kid at Miami,
Tate
Martell, eligible immediately, then they should allow this kid the same privilege to be eligible. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle this. Maybe they'll mess it up so bad that they go back and do away with transfer.
We can only see, because this has been an opportunity for many players. The open transfer portal seems to be like free agency in many other sports. So in the meantime, we'll see what the future lies for Jordan Travis, but Florida State's going to be opening up their season in Jacksonville. They're going to be opening up against Boise State. Well, Coach, another show down. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you today.
Enjoyed it very much. See you tomorrow.
I'm Davis Allen. You've been listening to Talk Football with Coach K. We'll do it again tomorrow. In the meantime, Stephen A. Smith's show is up next. Enjoy your Thursday.
This is Pensacola's hometown all-sports station and home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 94.5. Catch all the Wahoos games home and away all season, plus all the latest Wahoos news from Chad Brilliante on the Sports Drive, 5 till game time weeknights. And hey, if your business would like to partner with us as an advertiser or with a local sports promotion, then give us a call at 850-262-6000 or shoot us an email from the advertise page on ESPNpensacola.com.
From coast to coast, the Stephen A. Smith Show starts right now.
we're so damn predictable. Every single one of us. Caught up in our feelings. Our egos. There's one thing that takes down a dynasty, and it's taken down almost every single one of them. And it might have taken down a dynasty once more. There's one thing that takes everything down. Ego. The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, and on ESPN News. Will Kane filling in for Stephen A. You can normally catch me 3 to 6 Eastern on all those same television and radio channels, and you can always join the conversation. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Coming up in just a few moments here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, how about some big, bold predictions 3 years out in the NFL? I'm not talking about power rankings. We talked about that the other day. Who's power ranked tops in the league over the next 3 years? The Indianapolis Colts came in at number 1 on that. But I'm talking about individual predictions, players, player movements. What's going to happen over the next 3 years in the NFL? We're going to talk to an ESPN NFL insider about that in just a moment. But if you missed any of today's opening segment where I laid out 5 destinations who can logistically and perhaps should trade for Chris Paul, who's now, at least in terms of trade price, an absolute value buy, go check it out on demand in the Stephen A. Smith podcast, brought to you by the Capital One Venture Card. Earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day. What's in your wallet? We are so predictable. Individually and collectively, we always fall prey to the same traps. We always let our egos get the best of us. And they have taken down dynasties. The other day I was listening to the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio, which precedes this program on national radio. And he was talking about the Golden State Warriors and Kevin Durant's decision to go to the Brooklyn Nets over remaining with the Golden State Warriors, where you could make a very real argument that titles were going to keep coming. Titles and titles and titles down the road. And Le Batard said, isn't it amazing what an ego can do?
It's going to be hard to explain 40 years from now to people who don't understand what this time was, how and why it ended. Because the absurdity of it, that team, all it has to do to win for 10 years is get along. That's it. You don't have to do anything else. And they couldn't do it. They couldn't even last the few years that he was there. It's an amazing testament to ego. And this dude must have been so unhappy. And it's hard to imagine that he would go there and get more of what he wanted in terms of awards and the games being easy and the credit that he was getting as best player in the world before Kawhi took it.
Well, get along and stay healthy. That was Dan Le Batard on the Dan Le Batard Show. And I'm not sure I would characterize it as the problem in Golden State was everyone getting along. I mean, we do know that Kevin Durant and Draymond Green had their blow up. We do know about that. But I'm not sure it was like they weren't buddies. They didn't like each other. I think that Golden State squad was more cohesive, more copacetic than most collection of egos we can bring together. But that doesn't mean that ego wasn't something that brought the Warriors down. I mean, what did Durant leave Golden State for Brooklyn for? If we're really trying to figure it out, it's validation, right? He thought, man, I'll go to Golden State. I'll rack up titles. I'll chase LeBron. I will become the GOAT. I will get myself in the conversation. For many of us, including myself, he did just that. Kevin Durant, best player in the NBA. But for most, he didn't. That validation eluded him. Bandwagoner, front runner, can't beat him, join him. Weakest decision by a superstar in NBA history. That's the words of your man Stephen A. here on the Stephen A. Smith Show. And here's the thing. I agree with Stephen A. It was weak. But it didn't keep me from giving Kevin Durant the props that he deserved. It didn't keep me from recognizing reality as it had occurred. KD was the best player in the NBA. 2 finals MVPs, shouldered the burden. I knew who he'd become. And no matter how weak I thought the decision was before, I recognized the strength of the play. But it still eluded him. Validation. Reputation. It eluded him, and his ego had that little tickle. I need more, what's wrong, I need more. And it forced him out of Golden State. It took him to Brooklyn. We'll have a new duo and new pursuit of, yes, titles, but more importantly, validation. And that's the thing, man. Egos, that's the Achilles heel of the human condition. I don't try to speak too professorial there. I'll leave that to my buddy Max Kellerman. But egos is what kills dynasties. How about that? Let's just get to that. It's what kills dynasties. You can go through history. Just look at this. Dallas Cowboys, 1990s. What took down the Dallas Cowboys? Some free agency, yes. The beginning of free agency played a big part of that, but come on. Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones. Infamously, I could find 100 coaches while clinking the ice in a scotch glass at some mahogany bar in Dallas, smoke-filled room. I could find 100 coaches to coach the Cowboys to a championship. You know it was 10 scotches in. Then do it. And damn it if he didn't with Barry Switzer. But the point is the egos did take down the Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones egos. How about Kobe and Shaq? How about the Lakers? Are egos a problem in extending that dynasty? How about the Bulls? Jerry Reinsdorf, Phil Jackson. Did that thing have to end when it did in the late 90s? Or did it have another year in it? KD and Draymond. Or just KD and KD. I mean, it's taking down teams that aren't even championship teams. It's taking down those on the way. How about Seattle? How about Richard Sherman and Russell Wilson? How about the defense and Russell Wilson? Egos. How about Pittsburgh? Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, Ben Roethlisberger. Egos. Egos, man. Hey, quick side note on egos really quickly. How about what egos is doing to you and me right now? How about what it did to us in the last couple of days? Will Kane filling in for Stephen A. here on ESPN Radio. How about egos getting us, every one of us, including me, to give all of our personal private data to Russia? I want to know what I look like when I get old. How many of us downloaded FaceApp in the last couple of days? Yes, I see. I want to see what I look like at 75. Have you guys seen that? FaceApp. Everybody did it. The internet's covered up in it. People download the app, push a little button, says, make me old face, and then you go, oh, look at that. It's a good, 10-second brain tickle, like everything in our life. Oh, there you go. Took my quick little gerbil nugget of distraction on the internet. This time, what do I look like when I'm 75? In exchange, the privacy notice is like, by the way, you give all of your data and your likeness in perpetuity, in perpetual use, for any use that they would like and any revenue they can generate to some Russian hackers. Nice little trade for our ego. I do wonder, though, how did that work? Because anybody could use my picture. They could put it in, not just me. So maybe it's in the downloading of the app. I don't know. All I know is I'm about to get hacked by Russia, and so are 150 million others of us. So that's the only thing we got going for us. We're all going down together to our egos on FaceApp. Or maybe not. I don't want to slander any business. Maybe it's just totally legit. Who knows? But egos, man, from dynasty after dynasty, salaries, egos, comparison, buddies. I asked Quentin Richardson, former NBA player, about this yesterday here on the Stephen A. Smith Show. I said, don't they compare salaries? We've read about guys who are like, he's not that good. Why does he make more than me? Here's what Q had to say.
I think from situation to situation, that's absolutely been true. And in some situations, it's had absolutely nothing to do with it. So I think it goes from team to team to different scenarios and situations. I don't think it's something that you could say is uniform across the board either way. I can say I've witnessed situations, like you say, it's gone in the wrong way, and at other times it's had completely nothing to do with it at all.
That's Quentin Richardson here on the Stephen A. Smith Show with Will Kane yesterday. The Steelers, the Seahawks, the Warriors, the Bulls, the Lakers, the Cowboys. You can keep going. Ego after ego after ego taking down dynasties. Remember it when it takes down your dynasty. The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, protecting commercial vehicles and offering specialized coverages designed to protect your business. More at progressivecommercial.com. Let's do some bold predictions. And earlier today, I caught up with ESPN NFL insider Dan Graziano. All right, let me welcome in now ESPN NFL insider Dan Graziano into the Stephen A. Smith Show with Will Kane today. So Dan has a bold piece up on ESPN.com. It's one that I love. It's predicting 25 different crystal ball predictions for the NFL over the next 3 years through 2022.
Anybody can do one.
Anybody can do
three.
one. This takes something special.
Exactly.
So I want to walk through a few of them with you, Dan, and ask you about these. First, let's start with this. Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals will win at least one division title over the next 3 years.
Yeah, I think the offense they'll put together will be different enough that it'll propel them that way. I don't think it can be this year, because I just don't think they have the offensive line right yet. Maybe they do. Maybe they make a big jump there. But I think once they start investing there, some of the young receivers come through, I think they're going to be able to score enough points in Arizona to deliver a playoff appearance, division title over the next 3 years. I mean, the Rams are at the top right now. they're very good. They're a little bit highly leveraged. You saw them lose a couple of key guys in the offseason, so we'll see how they recover from that. There's no reason to doubt them yet, but they could be a short window kind of team.
It's less the Rams that fascinates me about this prediction, and the other two teams you have the Cardinals leapfrogging. Everybody's sort of waiting on the San Francisco 49ers moment. When is it that Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo come together for something special? And nobody, to my estimation, that I can see is yet predicting the demise of the Seattle Seahawks.
We all did that last year. Well, many people did that last year. I mean, they were the kind of team that you thought, they lost so many guys. But, you keep coaching quarterback at that level, and, you're going to put something together. So they're a draft and develop team that believes in their ability to keep it going. Yeah, it's too soon to count them out. 49ers, this is a big year for them. I mean, if they don't show it now, then the excuses start to run low. Kyle Shanahan's entering of a 6-year deal, but so it gives him some security, but, you start to lose a little bit of that confidence and excitement if you don't start showing it. If Garoppolo's healthy and they don't have the injury problems, they've got to deliver. They've got to win some games, or else people are going to start to wonder about the long-term viability of it.
All right, Dan Graziano here. 25 predictions over the next 3 years. Here's one of them he's laid out on ESPN.com. Kirk Cousins will sign a contract extension with the Vikings. So I think the question for this is, how good, or better yet, how bad does Kirk Cousins have to be for this not to come true?
I think the Vikings are going to have a poor season, like another out of the playoff season, in order for them to start looking elsewhere. If they have the year that I think they can have, which is a division championship season, then I think you look at a guy with 1 year left on his contract and that they start talking extension next offseason. They don't have to. I mean, we know the third year is fully guaranteed. They could play it out. He's certainly to that, right? Playing on a contract year. But I think they're in position to do some good things. And if they win enough games this last year, I know a lot's been made about his record against winning teams, and he knows that. He's got to do better. But I think there's a step forward coming this year that will propel him into the conversation about, all right, he's the guy here for the long term.
Dan, I think Kirk Cousins is an slightly above average quarterback in the NFL, which essentially means he's around 15, 14, 16 if you ranked your quarterbacks across the NFL. But what I felt is, while I've had this conversation on the Will Cain show here on ESPN Radio, that you don't want to find yourself paying top average quarterback play. What I see is more and more teams afraid to walk away. And what I guess I take away from that, Dan, tell me if this is the alternatives, I don't know, starting at like 16, 17. So right when you get to that below average, slightly below average is terrifying for NFL teams.
Remember when the old Bugs Bunny cartoons or the Roadrunner cartoons, where Wile E. Coyote would run off the cliff, still running, and there's nothing underneath him anymore? Teams are afraid of feeling like that about quarterback, and you're absolutely right. I mean, look, they believe in Dak Prescott, but part of their willingness to extend him at what I think will end up being a very high level is, if we don't, then where are we? We're in that quarterback wilderness where we don't know who it's going to be year to year, week to week sometimes. Nobody wants to be. You're absolutely right. That is a big part of the motivation at quarterback right now. The position's in better shape than it was a couple of years ago in terms of the depth league-wide, but the idea of having your guy and being certain who it is really a driving force in a lot of these decisions.
And we've really only ever seen one team walk away from a quarterback, and it was Kirk Cousins' previous employer, where the Washington Redskins said to themselves, we've seen everything there is to the Kirk Cousins experiment. But I got to imagine, and we were talking about this pre-show, Dan, like the Detroit Lions, as you pointed out, the Dallas Cowboys, the Minnesota Vikings, whether or not it's Stafford or Dak Prescott or Kirk Cousins, they're going to pay whatever it takes to keep their guys.
Because it's that level of certainty, right? Like if you, I go back to something Mike Shanahan told me once. It was after, ironically, he drafted Robert Griffin, and he thought he was set. He said, when you're set at quarterback, when you believe you're set at quarterback, all your other decisions get easier. The grass looks greener. The birds chirp a little brighter. Like everything about your outlook on your team changes for the better. And I think that's where, if you're the Detroit Lions, you got enough problems. All of a sudden, you don't know who your quarterback's going to be. Look at Washington. Obviously, they thought they had it covered with Alex Smith, but unfortunate, disastrous injury to him. Now they're going to bring 3 guys to camp that they don't know which one's going to start and how many games each one's going to start. I mean, there's a lot of mystery there, and there's no comfort that goes along with that.
ESPN NFL insider Dan Graziano here on the Stephen A. Smith Show with Will Kane. He's got a column up on ESPN.com, 25 bold predictions over the next 3 years of the NFL. Speaking of quarterbacks changing teams, you predict that Eli Manning will play for a different team.
I like this one because I think Eli Manning doesn't think he's done. And if he plays at all well this year, it doesn't matter. I mean, they're going to go with Daniel Jones, if not some point this year, then next year. He's the number 6 pick in the draft. If he plays well, I think he's going to be in a position where he wants to keep it going, get another contract, and show he can still do it. He's not particularly old in this era of quarterback performance. He can last probably another 3 years physically. He's never been hurt. He believes he offers something in terms of reliability. So, yeah, I think he's a guy that looks for work else. I mean, unless he just goes off a cliff this year, but I don't know that that's necessarily guaranteed to happen the way their offense is going to run in terms of the short completions and high percentage and all that stuff. I think you can come out of this year convinced that Eli Manning has something left. And if he's convinced of that, then yeah, I think he's going to be looking around for starting opportunities somewhere else.
I just have such a hard time seeing Eli Manning as traveling veteran looking for a job.
Right.
We just laid out the quarterback landscape, and below average category that we laid out is teams full of rookie quarterbacks.
Right.
Teams in the Josh Rosen, Dwayne Haskins, Drew Lock, let me see what I have for the future type of situation. I don't see Eli Manning falling into that Case Keenum category. So would he really travel around the league looking at the one or two teams that are in need of average veteran quarterback play?
Well, there are some interesting possible options, right? If Marcus Mariota doesn't have a good year, then Tennessee's looking, right? If Drew Brees retires, then Eli's father's team is looking, right? So, you have some spots where things could open up. I mean, Tom Brady could retire, right? I mean, Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, these are guys getting toward the end. So there are some interesting potential destinations where that rookie successor is not necessarily in line. And I think that's interesting. And, of course, you don't know. Again, injuries are a part of the game. You wouldn't have expected an opening in Washington this year. So there's stuff that we don't foresee. But I think there's some interesting potential situations next year where he wouldn't necessarily have to fight off a young guy.
Tennessee and New Orleans, those are fascinating situations.
Depending on a lot of things, right? I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. Marcus Mariota could make the Pro Bowl this year and sign a long-term deal, but he's got to show something, right?
Another guy you have changing teams over the next 3 years is a guy that just signed with his current team, and that's Le'Veon Bell changing teams again.
This is a point about the contract. It's really a 2-year contract that Le'Veon Bell signed with the Jets, and they can get out of it after 2 years. He's actually, if they wanted to, he's easier to trade next offseason than he would have been this year. So, a lot has been made about the relationship with the new coach, Adam Gase, whether he was on board with the contract. They're going to coexist right now, and things seem fine. But, if things go wrong, if they don't win, we've seen Gase as a guy that isn't afraid to ship guys out of town, even when they're high performers. So I think the point is it's 2 years, and there's always so much uncertainty with that franchise that I could definitely see that being something that where he changes teams yet again.
ESPN NFL insider Dan Graziano here on the Stephen A. Smith Show with Will Kane filling in. He's got a column up with 25 bold predictions over the next 3 years in the NFL. We talked about Eli Manning changing teams, Le'Veon Bell changing teams. One other guy that Dan suggests will be changing teams over the next 3 years is Miami Dolphins quarterback Josh Rosen. Now, when he went to Miami, Dan, I laid this out over on the Will Kane Show. I said, the poor guy has been put in a situation where it's going to be impossible for him to succeed. It's a terrible team with a terrible offensive line and a team that already seems to be in the mode of tanking for Tua or Justin Herbert,
right,
or whoever it may be at the top of the quarterback draft next year. So I don't know what Josh Rosen can do to truly succeed. The answer, I'm sure, is win.
Right.
Go ahead and win yourself into a position where you have a job. But let's assume that doesn't happen. I don't think the league should be done with Josh Rosen. I assume somebody out there still believes this guy can be a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, he was a top 10 pick a year ago. So, yeah, but look, the Dolphins are in a position where they're not heavily committed. Arizona paid the signing bonus. So the Dolphins, if he's not their guy, can move on with almost no pain in terms of money that's left on the deal after this year. So it's all upside for them. And for him, first of all, he's got to beat out Ryan Fitzpatrick and start. And, yeah, I think they would have to win. But if they get to a situation where they win 5 games or 6 games, right, and now they're not picking in the top 3, and Rosen played well and showed enough, then maybe you could be in a situation where, we weren't in position to draft Tua or Justin Herbert, but this guy was a top 10 pick in 2018, has shown enough. So, I think you kind of if you like Josh Rosen, if you think he can be good, you kind of pull for that outcome, that he shows enough in Miami and establishes himself as the starter there long term. But it seems like I'm with you. I think the Dolphins are in a mode of looking beyond this year, and I think he would have to do something spectacular for them this year in order for them to lock in on him beyond.
All right, last prediction with Dan Graziano here on the Stephen A. Smith Show with Will Kane. This seems to be one that we share an opinion on, and that is that the league has thrown dirt on the Pittsburgh Steelers a little bit too early.
Right.
With all the hype around the Cleveland Browns, you predict that over the next 3 years, the Pittsburgh Steelers will win more AFC North division titles than the Cleveland Browns.
Which could mean 2-1 or 1-0, so it's not. But, yeah, I mean, this is Mike Tomlin and Ben Roethlisberger have never had losing seasons. I mean, they've never, ever lost more games than they've won in a season. So I think people underestimate, and I also think the Steelers are going to be a real chip on their shoulder unit this year because the Browns haven't won the division since 1989. The Steelers win it all the time. Like, what if the Browns? When you have an organization that's used to winning, and all of a sudden everybody jumps on the bandwagon of a team that's never ever won, that first organization starts to get its back up. I remember this when I covered the Yankees years ago, and people were like, "Oh, this could be Tampa Bay's year," and like the Yankees, like, Tampa Bay, come on, give me. Once it was, but it took a while. But, I think the Steelers are going to have a real rallying cry this year in terms of, people are giving up on us. All coaches use that, but they can actually say it. I mean, the Browns are going to be everybody's pick in the AFC North. So, yeah, I have a feeling the Steelers are going to be highly motivated and still well coached and still well quarterbacked, and they're going to be real tough to deal with.
All right, Dan, appreciate it.
You got it.
That's ESPN NFL insider Dan Graziano, who has his column up, 25 bold predictions over the next 3 years in the NFL. Go check it out on ESPN.com. All right, we didn't talk about there Aaron Rodgers and his relationship with his new coach. We didn't talk about whether or not Mitch Trubisky can get the Chicago Bears over the hump into real Super Bowl contention. We didn't talk about Kirk Cousins. Well, we did, and whether he gets a new deal, but can he do it this year with the Vikings? The NFC North is full of quarterback questions. There might just be one guy, one quarterback, who has the fewest questions to answer. I'll lay it out coming up in just a minute here on the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio with Will Kane, filling in for Stephen A.
This show and all of ESPN is streaming live on the ESPN app. Now with ESPN Plus, where you get more ESPN. Download the ESPN app today and take ESPN everywhere.
Geico presents Yikes! Another voicemail from your roommate.
Sup, roomie? Hey, a pipe burst in the basement. It's completely flooded. Anyway, I called for someone to fix it, but in the meantime, I was thinking we could finally have that indoor pool party we've always wanted. I got some cool swan floaty things already going. Could you pick up some chips on your way home? Later.
The Geico Insurance Agency could help keep your personal property protected, like if your roommate isn't the brightest pool float in the flooded basement. Visit geico.com to see how easy it is to switch and save on renter's insurance.
At Indeed, we understand that when it comes to hiring, it's important to have a large talent pool to choose from. But sometimes too many good options can be overwhelming. That's why Indeed doesn't just give you access to a large pool of job seekers. We also offer screener tools that let you instantly narrow down your search. Hone in on hiring with Indeed. Experience Indeed for yourself today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting at Indeed.com/promo. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm Jordan Glass with your sports update on ESPN Pensacola 94.5. For your Pensacola Blue Wahoos, after a day off and 3 straight losses, they'll be back in action coming up later on this evening at 6:35 on the road taking on the Mississippi Braves. You can catch the game with Chris Garagiola right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5's Following the Sports Drive. For your UWF Argos, we are 49 days away from the start of the football season for 2019. You can get your home game tickets online, Argo fans, at GoArgos.com. I'm Jordan Glass with your sports update on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Corporal John Vale was injured on patrol in Kuwait.
The truck flipped, the vehicle landed on me. I realized I can't move my legs. I'm looking for one person, one contact that can help me.
When John arrived at the VA, there was someone. Stephen Bush of Paralyzed Veterans of America. He helped John with his claim and became his advocate to get him back into life.
When I approach someone that's newly injured, I want them to feel comfortable that they're not alone.
For over 65 years, Paralyzed Veterans of America, through their national service officers, has helped hundreds of thousands of veterans get the care and benefits they've earned. And their service is free to America's veterans and their families. If you need help with a claim or just navigating the system, contact us at pva.org. Paralyzed Veterans of America, changing lives, building futures.
If you have over $10,000 in credit card debt and are behind on your monthly payments, you need to make this free call right now. 800-428-4187. When you call the Stop Debt Hotline, you're taking the first steps for help. Debt specialists are part of a real team who will help you with all of your options. You could stop the collection calls and letters forever by calling the completely confidential toll-free number right now. 800-428-4187. 800-428-4187. When you call, you'll get free information on how you can handle your debt forever. Imagine no more late nights and no more debt. Don't try to face your creditors alone. Call the Stop Debt Hotline right now. 800-428-4187. 800-428-4187. Get free information now by calling the Stop Debt Hotline. 800-428-4187. Non-attorney spokesperson paid for by Debt Resolution Helpline. 102 Northeast 2nd Street, number 183, Boca Raton, Florida, 33432.
He's making a list, checking it twice. Gonna find out who's got a Harley to ride. It's Christmas in July this week at Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Come out Thursday for a Christmas in July themed bike night, complete with free beer from Harley's Angels, live music, and Harley-Davidson of Pensacola is making it snow. And don't sweat this summer. Pay 0% interest until fall. Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Let's ride.
Getting knocked down on the football field makes you tough, but getting back up makes you tougher. At Goodyear, we call that determination. A willingness to put in more hours, more reps, and more heart to reach a bar that's sky high. Because the Goodyear blimp doesn't show up for just anybody. So don't be just anybody. Be blimp-worthy. Goodyear, more driven.
Welcome to Bo! Okay, hi, what are we doing today?
I need something that screams something fun. Nothing too on the face, nothing too off the face, but also totally hot.
So I have the perfect thing. It's the most food mullet. You're totally business in the front, but tailgate in the back. It's a fat party. People are having fun. You know, snap. All your friends are going to be like, whoa, awesome setup. Everyone else is going to be all jelly, okay?
Just like a killer mullet, Moe's Catering will turn the back of your ride into a tailgate party that's sure to turn some heads. Just order ahead and pick it up on your way.
Moe's Southwest Grill, now open in Pace on Highway 90 next to Publix grocery store.
Napa know-how. At Napa Auto Parts stores and Napa Auto Care Centers, get a $25 prepaid Visa card when you get any Napa Automotive battery. It's the best deal for some of the best batteries from some of the best car people around. But we might be a little partial. Anywho, pick up any Napa Automotive battery and save $25. Do it yourself or have it done for you. That's Napa know-how. Napa know-how. At participating Napa Auto Parts stores and Napa Auto Care Centers while supplies last. Offer ends 8/31/19.
Now that Human Resources VP Ashley Campbell has Kronos for HR, payroll, talent, and time, she's managing her workforce like a rock star. She even has her own hype song.
I'm the spark before the fire. I'm the power in the train. I
have a really diverse workforce with different hours, skill sets, and pay grades.
Don't stop, don't stop. I'm the dream and you should know that.
Now we're motivating and engaging the right people every step of the way.
Kronos, HR solutions for the modern workforce and the people who support them. Learn more at kronos.com/HR swagger.
Guys, the secret is out. If you want healthy sex, your body needs nitric oxide. And now you can boost your nitric oxide production faster than you thought possible with Ageless Male Tonight, the absurdly fast formula from the #1 brand in male enhancement. Just take one capsule an hour before romantic activity. You'll get clinically tested ingredients that rapidly boost nitric oxide production, and it won't go unnoticed. Rush to Walmart and get Ageless Male Tonight.
Those guys are looked at like new automobiles when you drive them off the car lot.
Jerry Jones loves to pay himself some talent, whether it's quarterback, whether it's running back. If he's got talent, Jerry Jones loves to do it. It's going to be very interesting how Jerry Jones determines the value of Ezekiel Elliott.
Their value is never higher than what it is when you're drafted in the first round overall, and then you start taking NFL hits. It just starts to decrease from there.
I would draft a running back in the first round, and this is awful to say, but I would wear him out, and then I'd draft another one.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
Never be the beast of burden. Isn't that what you have to do when you do the Stephen A. Smith Show? Bring it up, Kat. All I want is you to make love to me. You think Stephen A. likes this song right here? This is a top fiver. Rolling Stones, Beast of Burden. That's in my top 5. Probably call it maybe a little Maggie May, Rod Stewart in there, and then we got to go full country for the rest of the top 5. Beast of Burden. I got to find out if Stephen A. if that's his jam too. It's the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio. Will Kane filling in for Stephen A. You can normally catch me 3 to 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, and on ESPN News. And if you missed any of today's show, go check it out on demand in the Stephen A. Smith podcast, brought to you by the Capital One Venture Card. Earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day. What's in your wallet? At the beginning of the show today, I laid out the teams that should make a deal, can make a deal, and should consider making a deal. What is a value buy at this point? That's Chris Paul at point guard. I'll be getting back to that in just a moment here on the Stephen A. Smith Show. But first, we're just talking about egos, taking down dynasties, and Matt in Delaware is on the Stephen A. Smith Show with Will Kane. What's up, Matt?
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing good today.
All right, what you got?
I just had a point on what you said about egos. I think the 4 biggest egos in the whole league are all playing together in 2 different pairs, that being Kevin Durant and Kyrie. I think that's 1A, 1B, ego-wise. And then James Harden and Russell Westbrook being the second pair of biggest egos in the league. But I think both scenarios are going to end up different, though. I think actually Russell and James are going to end up winning a lot more games than Kyrie and KD are going to end up winning.
Well, here's the thing, Matt. I actually like how you're framing this. I don't know that I would say they're the biggest egos in the league, but how about this? The most explosive pairing of egos in the league. We don't have any idea what's going to come of KD and Kyrie together. I mean, we're here that they're buddies. They've never been together in any kind of long-term partnership. But we're talking about one guy who's proven very sensitive to any kind of criticism, searching for validation. And no matter how much professional or personal achievement he gets, it seems to be not enough to fill the void. And another guy who, at best, we're just going to have to say is enigmatic. I mean, I don't even know what to say about Kyrie Irving. I don't know. Earth is flat. It's not flat. You know, if you're there is no distraction if you're very much woke. What was his latest? He had another one. What was the newest one? Oh yeah, by all reports he walking into a team meeting. Brad Stevens says, "Hey, Kyrie, good morning." Kyrie says, "Coach, what does the term government mean to you?" Get out of here, man. I don't need that stuff. Yeah, who knows how that's going to end? I mean, Kyrie and KD together? I don't know. And Westbrook and Harden, man, that's just that's explosive in terms of 2 guys that need the ball, want the ball, alpha guys, want to be the finishers, want to be the ball handlers. Nobody is going to take a backseat in that relationship. So, but they're buddies. Again, but it's been a long time. It's been 7 years, and there's been a lot of personal growth in that time frame, a lot of independence, a lot of I'm the man. So how's that going to come together? That's let's just say that's explosive. Will Kane filling in for Stephen A. Let's move to football. AFC North. I'm sorry. Check that. NFC North. 4 quarterbacks with some questions to answer. Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Mitch Trubisky in Chicago. Matt Stafford in Detroit and Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. But which quarterback has the most questions to answer? First, let me go to Johnny in Georgia. What's up, Johnny? You're on the Stephen A. Smith Show with Will Kane.
Hey, what's up, Will?
Hey, man.
Big fan. And when you're talking about egos, the biggest ego on the planet has got to be Max Kellerman, for sure. But anyway, to Stafford, I appreciate you at least listing Stafford as a top 15 quarterback on the show today because he never gets any respect on any of the sports channels. But I think that Stafford is actually probably top 10, given the fact that he's only had a 1,000-yard rusher one time his whole career. He's only had a 100-yard rusher first time last year since Reggie Bush did it. No offensive line, but I think the Lions are actually probably a year. Now, I don't know about this year, but next year they're on the verge of some big things. And Stafford would have had a playoff win if it wasn't for the bogus pick up the flag pass interference against your Dallas Cowboys.
Now.
You know that was a bogus call, but
I don't know that.
That would have been his first playoff win.
You don't know that.
But
I don't know that. Johnny,
definitely,
can I just take a shot in the dark here, Johnny?
Yeah.
Did you go to Georgia?
Yes, sir.
Huh. How to figure that?
Well, I grew up in Detroit, but I was stationed at Fort Stewart, so I stayed when I got out of the Army.
So you went to Georgia, and you are from Detroit. Yeah, you're about as close as it gets to a Matt Stafford fan as it gets, right? I mean,
yeah, it's hardcore, man. Last 2 years, I had season tickets. I flew back for every game.
All right, man, here's what I'd say. Thanks for the call, Johnny. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you telling me you appreciate having Matt Stafford's back. The question on First Take today that Johnny saw was, is Matt Stafford overrated? I made the argument that he is not. Max Kellerman made the argument that he is. With his number one overall selection in the draft and his $27 million contract and his 0-3 playoff record with no division titles, Max Kellerman contended that Matt Stafford is overrated. Here's what I had to say. Matt Stafford got paid what he was paid because he reached the pay window at that time. $27 million was what quarterbacks are making. And soon that will have him right about where he is in the league, which is probably, as Johnny pointed out, 10, 11, 12. Let me get back to that in just a second. And also, he's a franchise quarterback. And so he was taken number one overall. Stafford has had a 5,000-yard season. He's had a 40-plus touchdown season. Hasn't had them in a while. But I believe he's been surrounded by nothing for a long time. I'm not talking about his weapons. I'm talking about his offense, his running game, his offensive line. I believe that Matt Stafford is the second best quarterback in the NFC North. I think it goes Aaron Rodgers and then Matt Stafford. I believe you can, despite the fact that they've never won a playoff game. And let me get you some. This is serious. At some point, I acknowledge he's got to win. It's got to translate. But I think Matt Stafford can win. And my parallel is Tony Romo. I don't think Stafford is as good as Tony Romo ever was. But I know that when Tony Romo was reined in, given a strong running game, given an offensive line, Tony Romo, without being the gunslinger that he was, became a better quarterback. That's what Matt Stafford needs. Maybe Darrell Bevell, who's coming over from the Seattle Seahawks, is that offensive coordinator. Maybe Kerryon Johnson is that running back going into his second year. But I believe Matt Stafford, who throws the ball downfield, who's going to give you 2 to 3 touchdowns to interception ratio, who's going to complete 66% of his passes, is the second best quarterback in that division. And if I'm lining up quarterbacks in the NFC North, he's actually the one I have the least questions about. I think I know who Matt Stafford is. Now back to who he is. I said this morning on First Take, 12, 13. I think a year ago, I might have even had him closer to 5. I got to be real about that. He's probably in that 10, 11, 12 range. I think he's below Dak Prescott and below Carson Wentz. I think he's above Kirk Cousins. I think Matt Stafford is good. He has something more to prove if he's great. But when it comes to the other quarterbacks in that division, think about this. Can Aaron Rodgers be coached by a first-year head coach? Is it going to work out with Matt LaFleur? Is he going to let him call his plays? Is he not going to audible out of them? Is he not going to freelance like he did a year ago, which by reports where he did almost half the time with Mike McCarthy? Can Kirk Cousins live up to his deal? Can he perform with that Vikings team up to the level that Case Keenum did? Kirk Cousins has questions to answer. And Mitch Trubisky, going into his third year, has a team that is good enough. Is he good enough to be the leader of that Chicago Bears team that takes them to playoff success? No. If you're asking questions about those NFC North quarterbacks, I have the fewest about Matt Stafford, and I take him second in a draft among those 4 quarterbacks. All right. We got one segment left here on the Stephen A. Smith Show with Will Cain, who you can normally catch 3 to 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio. I told you earlier, where and who should look at Chris Paul as a value buy and make a trade. I get to your calls next on ESPN Radio. Will Cain in for Stephen A. Nature Valley sweet and salty bars are the indulgent break you deserve in your day. Have you tried the dark chocolate, peanut, and almond flavor? Now that's a sit on the dock and take a moment kind of bar. Nature Valley sweet and salty bars.
Brought to you by Marathon. Marathon, fueling the American spirit.
Summer's here, and there's no better time to hit the road. At AutoZone, we've got the free services you need to drive with confidence, like our free AutoZone Fix Finder service. If your check engine light is on, our Fix Finder service will help troubleshoot the likely issue. And if you need help from a repair shop, we know some of the best. Want to maximize and restore lost fuel economy? Right now, buy 1 bottle of Chevron Techron Complete Fuel System Cleaner and get 1 free. Visit us at AutoZone.com and start the job fast with free same-day store pickup and free next-day delivery. Restrictions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
All right, it's time for some straight talk. You wouldn't pay $100 for seats to a baseball game where you can get the same seats for $50. So why pay more on your wireless when you can get the same 4G LTE networks for up to half the cost? For $45 a month, get our unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data from Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, only at Walmart.
Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
I'm Jordan Glass with your sports update on ESPN Pensacola 945. For your Pensacola Blue Wahoos, after a day off and 3 straight losses, they'll be back in action coming up later on this evening at 6:35 on the road taking on the Mississippi Braves. You can catch the game with Chris Garagiola right here on ESPN Pensacola 945's Following the Sports Drive. For your UWF Argos, we are 49 days away from the start of the football season for 2019. You can get your home game tickets online, Argo fans, at goargos.com. I'm Jordan Glass with your sports update on ESPN Pensacola 945.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies, and rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, for a man age 45 non-tobacco user, it's $1 million of coverage at $75 per month, level rate for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco user can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110 per month, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rate guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At Term Busters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for a new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote at 1-866-929-1950. That's 1-866-929-1950. You're probably paying more than you should. Call Term Busters at 1-866-929-1950. That's 1-866-929-1950. Remember, 1-866-929-1950. Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes for preferred non-tobacco underwriting. Exam required to qualify.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a bear sighting.
Location.
In the forest near the side of the road.
No need for alarm, sir. The forest is where bears live.
But this was no ordinary bear.
No ordinary bear?
Yeah, 1 second I'm having a smoke taken in the view. Next thing I know, I am face to face with Smokey Bear.
Let me guess, Smokey had a tip for you.
He did. He must have seen me toss my cigarette on the ground. He told me never to do that because it only takes 1 spark to start a wildfire.
He's a smart bear. Did you know that 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans? That means 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
That's what Smokey said. I had no idea.
That's why Smokey's famous, and you're not.
Good point.
If you see someone in danger of starting a wildfire, step in and make a difference, because 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. Brought to you by Smokey Bear, the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at
Here are the ESPN Pensacola 945 contest rules. You can win one prize per household per contest in any 30-day period, unless specified by individual contest rules. All prizes on ESPN Pensacola 945 are non-transferable, non-redeemable in cash, nor exchangeable for any other prize. ESPN Pensacola 945 prizes must be redeemed within a 30-day period of winning, and you must be 18 years of age or older to win. For a complete list of rules, visit ESPNpensacola.com.
Now that Human Resources Director Fernando Pino has Kronos for HR, payroll, talent, and time, he's completely crushing it. He even has his own hype song.
Supporting our entire workforce. Everyone has different hours, skill sets, and pay grades. Motivating and engaging our people every step of the way.
Kronos, HR solutions for the modern workforce and the people who support them. Learn more at kronos.com/HR swagger.
I'm on the top, I'm gonna rise up. I'm on the top, I'm gonna rise up. I'm on the top.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns, and that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there.
We are broadcasters, your home for Pensacola sports, ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Sports is live and local every Saturday from 11 to 1.
Kawhi, him and his free agency, or him just sitting around waiting to sign with the team, had a lot to do with more than just the Lakers. There were other teams that were tied into this trade as well to determine their next moves. And for the Lakers, they still haven't finalized the Anthony Davis deal.
Sports Call with Jordan Glass and Davis Allen on your radio, on Facebook, and YouTube.
Southern California basketball is going to be where everybody's paying attention to this upcoming season.
At ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Okay, here are 3 important reasons why your son or daughter should play a sport in high school.
Number 1.
High school sports teach valuable life lessons like self-discipline and time management skills.
2.
Teens who play a high school sport have better grade point averages.
And number 3.
High school sports are safer than ever before.
This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
Got an update for you from the Open Championship at Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland. 2 big names, 2 big busts of a day so far. Tiger Woods is 6 over through 17 holes. And Rory McIlroy from Northern Ireland, a favorite going into this tournament, 8 over. And he is through 18 today. He is in the clubhouse at 8 over. He had a quadruple bogey on the first hole. Some big names. J.B. Holmes, first of all, is your leader at 5 under, followed by Shane Lowry and John Rahm. Here are some big names for you over at the Open Championship. Brooks Koepka is 3 under. Justin Rose and Jason Day are both at 2 under. And Jordan Spieth and Ricky Fowler are at 1 under par, within striking distance after the first day at the Open Championship. Let's hit up the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. It's the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio. Will Kane filling in for Stephen A. You can normally catch me 3 to 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Let's go to Dan in Kansas City. What's up, Dan?
Hey, Will, how you doing? I'd like to make 2 points real quick. I think the Celtics, they're going to be a force with Kemba Walker next year, and I always heard that Chris Paul wants to play with LeBron. Do you think the Lakers will have enough? Take care of yourself, Will. Have a nice day.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it. I do not think the Lakers have the contracts, the players to pull it off. Not right now. Okay, come December, when they can trade guys they signed in free agency. I played with them last night on the trade machine. You could put Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in there, and I don't know, man. It's hard to get to $38 million. That's the thing. Chris Paul's at $38 million a year right now, and you got to add up salaries to get close to that. No, a little bit earlier on the Stephen A. Smith Show. As for right now, I gave you 5 teams that I thought had the contracts and ability to pull it off and at least should think about pulling off a trade for Chris Paul, who at least in terms of trade value, trade price, is a value buy. In terms of contract, it's expensive as it gets. But what you have to give up is as low as it gets right now. Those 5 teams are at number 5, the Dallas Mavericks. Number 4, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Number 3, the San Antonio Spurs. Number 2, the Orlando Magic. And number 1, of course, is the team that everyone has Chris Paul penciled into, and that is the Miami Heat. But the Miami Heat currently have 2 draft picks that live in Oklahoma City, and they want them back. They want them back as the tax for taking on Chris Paul's contract. I would say this. There's 2 other teams that just landed outside my top 5 teams that I did consider and play with. And one of them was the New York Knicks. And the New York Knicks have stockpiled about 3 or 4 power forwards at $15 million a year. You put a couple of those together and you can get to Chris Paul's contract status. Knicks said they're not interested in Chris Paul. But come December, when they can trade guys who are signed in free agency, I can tell you this, the Knicks can get it done. The other team, and this is just weird, but you have to deal with the fact that the NBA is weird, is the Washington Wizards. John Wall for Chris Paul. You have to throw in a little more with John Wall to get it done. But if we're going to trade Westbrook for Paul, how about Wall for Paul? I can't make it make sense for either. I'm like, why would the Wizards go in on Chris Paul? His deal, both of them have ridiculous deals, is 1 year shorter than John Wall's. So the Wizards get out from under 1 year of that contract. And what do the Thunder get out of that? Like, maybe that John Wall, they could convince themselves is a centerpiece for their rebuild, but I doubt it. I doubt that seriously. They already got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and they think they're going to try him out at point guard. But, I mean, who knows in the NBA? Who knows? All right, so let's go to Eli in Kentucky. What's up, Eli? You're on the Stephen A. Smith Show with Will Kane.
Yes, I was want to know how good you think the Browns are going to be this year, like playoff contenders.
Eli, I do think they're going to be playoff contenders. I think they're one of 2 teams, thanks for the call, in the AFC North that are playoff contenders. I laid it out yesterday. I think it is one of the weakest divisions in the NFL as far as producing Super Bowl contenders. Steelers and Browns, playoff contenders. I don't see either of them as real Super Bowl contenders this year. But you know what my thoughts are on the Browns, what everybody's thoughts are. Eli, most hyped team in the NFL right now. Everybody loves the Browns. I still have the Steelers over the Browns in that division. All right, I was going to ask you my rental car question, but I'm going to have to save that. Here's the question. Okay, let's talk about this tomorrow. When you're at the rental car place and you can pick from your aisle, do you ever get the compact SUV? Who gets the compact SUV? I'd rather have the sedan than the compact SUV, right? My wife thinks it's like an SUV. I'm like, that's not an SUV. It rattles when you drive. Like, I'd rather go ahead and be honest with myself. Let's be low to the ground and stable. Get the sedan. Stephen A. Smith Show with Will Kane.
If you're a small business owner, there's no better place to find the impact hire to help your business than LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs takes the time to learn more about who you're looking for and then recommends qualified candidates from their community of engaged and career-minded people, candidates who you likely won't be able to reach anywhere else. The truth is, over 70% of the U.S. workforce is on LinkedIn, and posting your job on LinkedIn gives you the best chance of finding and starting a conversation with your next star recruit. It's no surprise a new hire is made every 8 seconds using LinkedIn. So build your winning team by posting a job on LinkedIn and visit linkedin.com/sports to get $50 off your first job post. That's linkedin.com/sports for $50 off your first job post. LinkedIn.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit ignition.
And then
nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite.
Look out! Look out!
And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's Flint Lockwood here from Swallow Falls. My friends and I have just discovered these amazing living foodimals. But wait, we've also discovered a crisis that needs our help. According to my calculations, 1 in 5 kids in America struggles with hunger. That's almost 17 million kids. Our mission is to help solve hunger by teaming up with the Feeding America Network to get food to kids facing hunger in communities across the country.
Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks, helping connect children and families who face hunger to billions of pounds of food, reaching shelters, schools, and community centers in every county in America, including yours. Help Flint and the Feeding America network of food banks get food to the people who need it in your community. Find your local Feeding America food bank at feedingamerica.org/hunger.
Together, we're Feeding America.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Our Pensacola Wahoos are back for another season, and with the new season comes some fresh and new changes. Our Wahoos are now the new AA affiliate of the Minnesota Twins, and they have a new broadcast home here in Pensacola, right here at your hometown station for hometown sports, ESPN Pensacola 945. Catch all the Wahoos action from home and away with Chris Garagiola. Wahoos baseball presented by Denny's on the new official flagship station for the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 945 and ESPNpensacola.com.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
If you're hitting 200 at the plate for the Pensacola Blue Wahoos, life isn't that great. But if you're hitting up 200 before the Wahoos games, things can't get much better. 200 South is your Blue Wahoos pre-party destination. Grab an ice-cold draft with the best selection in town at World of Beer. Relax in the most hoppin' spot at Blend Lounge. Or grab a quick bite to eat at Graffiti Pizza or Taco Aguave before the game. 200 South Palafox in downtown Pensacola. Peanuts and Cracker Jacks are all right, but a slice and an ice-cold draft, now that's a home run.
ESPN Radio is taking over ESPN News. You can now watch your favorite radio shows all in one place. From Golick and Wingo.
Oh, yeah!
To the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz.
All right, I'm available every day, thanks.
To the Stephen A. Smith Show.
I just don't understand this guy.
To the Will Kane Show.
It's my job to tell the truth.
From morning to night, the best of ESPN Radio is now available on ESPN News.
When working at a growing business, you wear many hats. The new business hat, the buying toner for the copy machine hat, the sifting through tons of resumes hat. You can throw away that last hat thanks to Indeed.com. When posting your job, Indeed lets you add screener questions that give you a less time-consuming route to your short list of qualified candidates. So go ahead, dust off that extra long lunch hat. Hiring's better when you've got your short list. Save time on hiring when you post a job on Indeed. Get started today at Indeed.com/hire.
This is Pensacola's hometown all-sports station and home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 94.5. Catch all the Wahoos games home and away all season, plus all the latest Wahoos news from Chad Brilliante on the Sports Drive, 5 till game time weeknights. And hey, if your business would like to partner with us as an advertiser or with a local sports promotion, then give us a call at 850-262-6000 or shoot us an email from the advertise page on ESPNpensacola.com.
The weekend's full of surprises. Hit 'em with the flex. From big upsets to rivalry. On the Fireman Show, Paul's on a roll. If he don't get the best of me, call Paul. He'll make sense of it all. Yeah, call Paul.
In my life, I've never had a phone call like that. Welcome back. We have made it to day 4 of SEC Media Days. It's all over. Well, it's all over, frankly, but we're here, as we always are, to wrap it up. A lot to talk about, some headlines to share with you. And don't forget, we're 3 hours away from the most anticipated moment of Media Days, the final hour countdown. Who will be the last man standing? In other words, who will be behind me? Who is the last reporter that will be here at Media Days? We say hello to you, 3 coaches and players arriving today, but a lot of the conversation still about what transpired yesterday. We will get to the Saban, the Dylan Moses, and of course what's been happening in Charlotte with the ACC Media Days as those players there crack back not only at Alabama but at some media members. A lot to do today on the program, and this is Trevor Lawrence. The chosen one, is responding to some comments that I made here yesterday in response to Clemson offensive lineman John Simpson saying Notre Dame was better than Alabama last season. I was pretty tough on that remark. It was picked up by a lot of media, and Trevor Lawrence has responded on Twitter calling me unprofessional. So my feeling is always the same. Everyone has a right to share his or her opinion, even if they are one of the best quarterbacks in the country. So, Trevor, thanks for checking in, and we'll hope to see you in a couple of months in the national championship game. Phone numbers here, of course, at 855-242-7285. We have a number of guests as well, including Gus Malzahn. He will start us off to talk about a season that he's very confident about, in spite of the schedule. Cole Kubelik, SEC Network broadcaster, former Auburn captain, will also join us to give us his take on Malzahn's chances. A little bit later on, Cecil Hurt on the kerfuffle from yesterday and how it all got started, and maybe why it all got started with Dylan Moses saying what he did. Justin Ferguson from The Athletic, he'll join us, and Greg McElroy as well, putting a bow on this week. We look forward to taking your phone calls at 855-242-7285. And we begin with Ben up first. Ben, go right ahead. Good afternoon.
Hey, Pa, how you doing?
We are doing great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is my first time calling. I'm excited to be on the show. I got two questions for you, Pa. Do you, with Chaney's arrival, do you think Jaron Garantano has a breakout season? And do you think UT would beat Florida or Georgia this year?
Thank you for the call. I think Chaney will help Garantano immensely. Do I think Tennessee will beat Florida or Georgia? Both games, the Florida game on the road, the Georgia game at home, I do not. I don't think Tennessee will beat either one of them. Jason is in Arkansas. Thank you very much. Jason, go right ahead. You're on the air.
Oh, thank you for taking my call. And for those of us
I just want to say something very personal. For those of us who are homebound a lot and don't get out, you do help brighten our day, and some of us, you're the highlight of our day. So I just wanted to tell you that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jason. Thank you very much for saying that. And I'm sorry that I'm sorry when anyone has some disabilities, but I certainly am understanding of that, and it makes all of us feel great here at the show and the network that we can provide some happy times for people. Thank you very, very much. Fred is up next in Georgia. Fred, nice of you to join us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Paul. How are you doing?
I am well. Thanks a lot.
Great. Paul, I was just wondering, what is your favorite thing so far about Media Days? What is the most, what has impressed you the most of the interviews you've had? And,
I would say the thing that I like the most are talking to the players, and I say that because I'm not a game broadcaster, so I'm not on site Friday having meetings with the offense and the defense. I come on the campus every Friday, and we do talk to the coaches, which I like very much, but I don't get a chance to see the players. So seeing Tua yesterday, seeing Burrow, seeing other players just walking back and forth along the hallways is really fun for me.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you're getting something out of it. As far as the coaches on the podium, I just, it's like blah, blah, blah to me. The questions get kind of repetitious and
Well, let me explain something a little bit. And this is what you're seeing here is different than what you would see on your nightly local sports or even on our network or on ESPN. I mean, you're seeing live coverage all day long of things that reporters are used to. The public may not be until we started doing this, and a lot of this is fairly tedious. I've covered I've covered news, I've covered sports in my career, and you go to a city council meeting and it puts everyone to sleep. There may be one moment that gets on the 10 o'clock news. Same way here. Most of it is very boilerplate stuff, but that's why you're always anticipatory of some dramatic moment, which we have gotten. We've gotten a few this week, but not many.
Yes, I agree with you. And I agree with you also about your interviews of actually talking with players. I like that, and more than coaches on the podium and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to let you go, Paul. I enjoy talking with you, and it's just great to talk with you.
Thank you very much. Really do appreciate it. And Justin is up next as we are getting to some phone calls here early in the show. We will go back and forth. Coach Malzahn coming up shortly. Justin, you're on the air. Good afternoon.
Hey, Paul, how are you doing? I'm a big fan.
Thank you so much.
But I wanted to talk about I wanted to ask you, what is it going to take for Georgia to go over the top this year and actually, start to create a dynasty?
Well, listen. To create a dynasty, you better win a championship. I think Georgia's right there. It's going to take getting to Atlanta and beating Alabama. I mean, really, there's no magic quotient. There's no magic wand to wave. It's doing what Georgia is capable of doing, and they've nearly done it 2 years in a row. They just haven't done it yet.
All right, thank you, Paul. Thank you for taking your time and talking to me.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate it very much. Let's continue with more of your calls at 855-242-7285. Kay is up next in West Virginia. Go right ahead.
Hey, Paul, how are you doing today?
We are doing great. Thanks a lot. Good to have you on.
I've got a couple of things I'd like to talk to you about. First thing, I saw a statement today that Auburn put out about Chuck Person, where they stated they're anticipating, some future repercussions, down the line for the NCAA. But they put it out there like that Chuck Person was just this rogue person that paid players, and that they didn't know anything about it. The coaches didn't know anything about it. And do you think that that's even possible?
I'm gonna give you an answer that I'm not proud of. I saw the headline this morning, and I have yet to read the details of what went down. So help me better understand it, if you don't mind.
Well, it was kind of they came out and acknowledged that some things happened, right? But
right.
Not the university didn't, the coaching staff, nobody knew about it. Just Chuck Person took it upon himself to pay a couple players. It was a big surprise to the coaching staff and the university when it came out, like they didn't know, like he just did this on his own, and that it wasn't under anyone's direction. But where did the money come from that he paid these players, for one thing? But they were just like a hands-off type of thing. And it just sounded hard to believe that no one else knew about it at Auburn but him.
Well, listen, I don't know how believable that is. I knew that would be the result because I've had conversations with Bruce Pearl about that, and that's what he's maintained from the beginning. Some of that could be lawyering. I think it's fortunate that he didn't end up with a jail sentence. I didn't hear, and usually I would be very, very knowledgeable, but when you're in the SEC media days bubble, you kind of forget that there's a world outside of here. But I will definitely dig into that as soon as I get off the show tonight. Thank you for the call. We are going to head to a break. More of your phone calls at 855-242-7285. Cole Kublik, Greg McElroy, Cecil Hurt, a number of other guests as well. Gus Malzahn will join us next.
When the sand gets hot, you gotta move fast, like a dog chasing a Frisbee. Move just as fast to the Ford Hurry Up and Save sales event. Because for the first time ever, you can get 20% estimated savings on select Ford vehicles. Plus, earn complimentary maintenance through Ford Pass Rewards. Don't let this hot deal on America's best-selling brand pass you by. Get into the Ford Hurry Up and Save sales event. Based on 2010 through 2018 calendar year sales. Modem must be activated within 60 days of purchase through the Ford Pass app on a smartphone and remain active for at least 6 months after activation. Eligible on select 2019 model year vehicles. Vehicle must have arrived at dealer at least 61 days prior to the sale date. Estimated savings include an average dealer discount based on a sales survey of average discounts offered by Ford dealers nationally. Discount may vary. Dealer determines price. For all offers, take new retail delivery from an authorized Ford dealer stock by 9/3/19. See participating dealer for complete details.
I'm Jordan Glass with your sports update on ESPN Pensacola 94.5. For your Pensacola Blue Wahoos, after a day off and 3 straight losses, they'll be back in action coming up later on this evening at 6:35 on the road taking on the Mississippi Braves. You can catch the game with Chris Garagiola right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5's Following the Sports Drive. For your UWF Argos, we are 49 days away from the start of the football season for 2019. You can get your home game tickets online, Argo fans, at GoArgos.com. I'm Jordan Glass with your sports update on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
There are a lot of kids in this country who didn't have a parent at their baseball games or recitals because their parents were serving in faraway places. But now their parents are coming home from battle, some with wounds you can see and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Every day, Wounded Warrior Project assists wounded warriors and their families with the Warriors to Work program, a program that helps warriors translate their military experience to civilian job experience. And they help employers find the right warrior for the right job.
My mom used to be a tank programmer. Now she works with computers. I'm really glad she's home because I can't eat my dad's marshmallow macaroni anymore.
I was 2 when my dad went away to war. He was there for 3 of my birthdays. Now he's home and he's a logistics specialist.
If you're looking for proven professionals, contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
If you have over $10,000 in credit card debt and are behind on your monthly payments, you need to make this free call right now. 800-428-4187. When you call the Stop Debt Hotline, you're taking the first steps for help. Debt specialists are part of a real team who will help you with all of your options. You could stop the collection calls and letters forever by calling the completely confidential toll-free number right now. 800-428-4187. 800-428-4187. When you call, you'll get free information on how you can handle your debt forever. Imagine no more late nights and no more debt. Don't try to face your creditors alone. Call the Stop Debt Hotline right now. 800-428-4187. 800-428-4187. Get free information now by calling the Stop Debt Hotline. 800-428-4187. Non-attorney spokesperson paid for by Debt Resolution Helpline. 102 Northeast 2nd Street, number 183, Boca Raton, Florida, 33432.
Our Pensacola Wahoos are back for another season, and with the new season comes some fresh and new changes. Our Wahoos are now the new AA affiliate of the Minnesota Twins, and they have a new broadcast home here in Pensacola, right here at your hometown station for hometown sports, ESPN Pensacola 945. Catch all the Wahoos action from home and away with Chris Garagiola. Wahoos baseball presented by Denny's on the new official flagship station for the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 945 and ESPNpensacola.com.
Hey, this is Cole from Commander Air, and we're your local Daikin Comfort pros. Trust is hard to come by these days. At Commander Air, we have over 54 years of building and earning your trust. From each trained, certified technician to the state-of-the-art Daikin units we install, Daikin systems come with a trustworthy 12-year parts warranty. Commander Air has 3 generations of trust built on dependability, knowledge, and outstanding service. Come check out our new AC showroom at the intersection of Highway 29 and 9 Mile Road. Commander Air, your hometown heating and cooling specialist for 3 generations.
What up? It's your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
Hey, Chad here for the Sports Drive. Catch us 5 to 7 Monday through Friday for the latest in local, collegiate, and national news. Right here on Pensacola's sports leader, ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Chad was great.
This is former Tampa Bay Buccaneer and Washington High School alum Derek Brooke. You're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
Nature Valley Sweet and Salty Bars are the indulgent break you deserve in your day. Have you tried the dark chocolate, peanut, and almond flavor? Now that's a sit on the dock and take a moment kind of bar. Nature Valley Sweet and Salty Bars.
Coach Gus Malzahn on the program, and Coach has been up and down the interview room, and you jokingly said to me, and I think it's a great idea, let me interview you just to change it up. But you would be a great broadcaster.
Well, I don't know about that, but you were late, so I just said, I'll go ahead and interview you.
Well, I apologize. I was running around. It gets a little confusing, but it shouldn't be confusing for me because I haven't been doing interviews all day. So let's talk a little bit about your message today, and certainly everyone knows the schedule. Everyone knows where Auburn is, and having said all that, you seem to have a pretty positive message.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Our leadership is real strong. We had 8 players that were juniors that seriously considered moving on. They chose to come back, and really that's the leadership core of our team. And anytime you choose to come back, they got unfinished business. So just a hungry team. I really feel like we're driven. I really like our staff. The schedule, you just said it. But the thing about our schedule, it's not a shock to our system. I think I've said the same thing the last 3 or 4 years. So and we're looking at it really as an opportunity. We open up against Oregon, a great Oregon team, top 10. People are saying they're going to win their league, possible Final Four, and so I think it'll be a good measuring stick for us that first game.
Do you like the big mega game at the beginning of the season?
I think whatever your schedule presents, you just got to. But, last year we had a real similar game in Washington, and, of course, that was a big one, and this is no different. So I know our players are motivated. They're excited. We had a big bowl victory and, really gave us some momentum, and those guys chose to come back. And so there's a lot of positive vibes, going into the season.
Yeah, bowl games are interesting, but, you were calling the plays. The team easily put its best performance on. Does that fans think it does, media think it does? Does that really carry over?
I think so. We had 2 years ago, we got beat in a big game in bowl, and it was tough the whole offseason. This was different, and then the fact that I'm back to calling plays, I'm just really excited about that, kind of back to being me, and really looking forward to calling plays and run the offense and being the head coach.
I've always wondered about that, because it doesn't matter who the coach is. Fans will say, well, the head coach needs to let his coordinators do their job. You've been in that position, but I've always argued the head coach ought to really do whatever he wants to do. So how different is it when you're doing what others were doing previously, but you still had a lot of management over it?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I came up calling plays.
Right.
That's what got to me where I'm at. And, of course, 3 years ago, you get advice and you get this, and you choose to, hey, I'm going to be the head coach and let somebody. And I'm not real good at setting back, and that's just not me. And so, when Chip Lindsey decided to move on, which, Chip's going to do great at Troy, it was just kind of one of those things. I'm going to get back to being me. I'm going to run the offense. I got Coach Spurrier calling me about every other game in the season saying, Coach, you got to get back to calling plays. So that kind of helped motivate, and it's been real refreshing, and just really looking forward to coaching this year.
How does that change your week, being the play caller, in addition to everything else?
Yeah. I've got really good people around me. Obviously we got really good staff that can, really good at their job, and I got very good support people, because once you get in the season, it's a routine deal. Whether you're calling plays or not, it's a routine, and so, it won't be a problem at all.
And the schedule, everyone knows how this season ends for Auburn, because it's the same ending for Auburn, for Georgia, for Alabama. But it just seems like there's so many road games in there. A&M, Florida, LSU. I've seen Auburn a long time. You've obviously been there a long time. I've never seen a schedule quite like that, though.
Yeah, I think the difference is, like you said, it's the road games and the opponents of the road games. And, of course, our crossover is Florida this year. At Florida, we hadn't been to Florida in a long time. We happen to be their homecoming opponent, too, so that's a little bit different. But,
congratulations.
But the road games, that's key. They're key games. And there's some of those key road games early. And we're going to have a freshman quarterback. We're going to have to be really good around him early. And I think we got a chance to be.
I'm glad to get you here, because when there aren't any coaches around, Coach Malzahn, the media starts interviewing each other, which is really silly. And the same, I've been asked the same question by a million people, so I'll ask you the question I've been asked. What is Coach Malzahn going to do in trying to determine a starting quarterback?
Yeah, we've got a really good plan about putting our quarterbacks in different situations to try to evaluate them. And the bottom line is, whoever's going to give us the best chance of winning against Oregon, who's going to be our starting quarterback. I don't have a timetable set. It's got to be this day. My experience is it usually just happens, and usually your whole staff and whole team know when that happens. But hopefully that'll be sooner rather than later.
You've had quarterback battles. I remember, I think it was 13 that you waited fairly late in the process. So there's no design. It's when you see it.
Right. In that year we had 4 guys that were rotating, and 7-on-7, they were all equal, and we decided 2 weeks before the season we're going to let them go live. And the second series, everybody in the building knew Nick Marshall was not just a starting quarterback, but he had a chance to be an elite quarterback. So we already got the live out of the way in the spring.
Okay.
We've narrowed it down to 2, and we've got a good plan.
As an offensive wizard and as someone who has tutored some great quarterbacks, when you look at these two, there are differences, obviously, size, style. How do you differentiate in terms of what you need?
Yeah, well, I think, first of all, both of them are capable of being a run threat. I think that's where it starts. Both of them are capable of extending plays when things break down. Of course, in our league, about half the time things break down, and they both have a big-time arm. So, they have the skill set to give you the flexibility, as a play caller, to call anything. And they are a little bit different, but there's a lot of similarities too.
Coach, just a final thought or two as you approach another season. You've done this a long time. Does this season feel any different, or is it just another season that you have to try to get Auburn back to the championship game?
Yeah, every year feels a little bit different. But, I think the big thing for me is, like I said, the guys that chose to come back, the core of our team, and their determination, having a chip on their shoulder, something to prove. And that's a really good feeling for me as a head coach. I really like our staff. And here's what I'll tell you, Paul. We got a chance. Yeah. There's a lot of teams in our league that don't have a chance. We've got a chance. Now, we got to win close games, and, we got to get good play out of our quarterback. We got to stay healthy. But I'll tell you today, we got a chance, and that's what's exciting for me.
And finally, you also have a defense that, on paper, it's not on paper. We saw them play last year. They're elite.
Yeah, I really think we got a chance to be the best defense we've had since I've been at Auburn in 10 years, and we've had some good ones. It starts with our defensive line. Those guys, I really feel like, are set to have a great year. We have a lot of experience back, and so things are looking good defensively.
Always the best. Thank you for coming by, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Great to have you on. Coach Gus Malzahn joining us here at the set. We'll take a break. Much more to come from SEC Media Days. When you're hiring, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant resumes. You want an efficient way to get to a short list of quality candidates. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in mere minutes. Set up screener questions based on your job requirements. Then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Search for greatness. Search Indeed.
Oh, it looks like your appendix is about to burst. We're going to have to go in and take it out.
Is there going to be pain, doctor?
Oh, yeah. A lot. Just think about puppies or whatever. Scalpel.
Surgery, no-brainer. Anesthesia. Barbasol's no-brainer. Finally making razors to go along with America's favorite shaving cream. Try Barbasol's Ultra 6 Plus razor with 6 ultra-thin blades for a close, comfortable shave.
Barbasol. Experienced truck drivers. Are you searching for a company that will let you pick the kind of driving job you want? At Schneider, professionals personalize their careers by choosing from 38 different types of driving positions. That means a better career to fit your lifestyle. If you want even more choice, Schneider drivers can also choose from over 50 unique dedicated accounts. Enjoy experienced driver pay, the respect you deserve, and choices that only Schneider can offer. Find out for yourself at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
Now that Human Resources Director Fernando Pino has Kronos for HR, payroll, talent, and time, he's completely crushing it. He even has his own hype song.
Supporting our entire workforce. Everyone has different hours, skill sets, and pay grades. Motivating and engaging our people every step of the way.
Kronos, HR solutions for the modern workforce and the people who support them. Learn more at kronos.com/HR swagger.
I'm on the top, I'm gonna rise up. I'm on the top, I'm gonna rise up. I'm on the top.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies, and rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, for a man age 45 non-tobacco user, it's $1 million of coverage at $75 per month, level rate for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco user can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110 per month, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rate guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At At TermBusters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for a new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote at 1-866-929-1950. That's 1-866-929-1950. You're probably paying more than you should. Call TermBusters at 1-866-929-1950. That's 1-866-929-1950. Remember, 1-866-929-1950. Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes for preferred non-tobacco underwriting. Exam required to qualify.
When Jamie Stevens got out of the Navy in 1968, he opened J&D Cleaners. With his commitment to quality cleaning at fair prices, the business grew to become the best dry cleaners in Santa Rosa County. Jimmy's son, Corey, owns J&D Cleaners now, and he shares the family commitment to excellence. J&D Cleaners has discounts for military uniforms, on-site alterations, and a convenient drive-through window at the Milton location. Trust your clothes to J&D Cleaners on Stewart Street, just north of 90 in Milton, and on Woodbine Road, just south of 5 Points and Pace. It's J&D Cleaners.
ESPN Radio is taking over ESPN News. You can now watch your favorite radio shows all in one place. From Golick and Wingo
Oh, yeah!
to the Dan Levitard Show with Stugotz.
All right, I'm available every day, thanks.
To the Stephen A. Smith Show.
I just don't understand this guy.
To the Will Kane Show.
It's my job to tell the truth.
From morning to night, the best of ESPN Radio is now available on ESPN News.
What if people had a battery level icon? Like on your phone? You'd see a lot of us in need of a recharge. Thank goodness there's 5-Hour Energy. Because just one sugar-free, vitamin-packed 5-Hour Energy shot can get you all the way back to 100% fast. And isn't life better at 100%? 5-Hour Energy. Get back to 100%. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com.
He was a star quarterback at Pensacola High, played alongside Gator great Steve Spurrier, and rose up the ranks to become head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Now, he's talking football on ESPN Pensacola 945. Coach K brings football to life year-round. The teams, the players, and the front office. Talk football with Coach K every day at noon on your radio. And Coach K live on Facebook and YouTube at ESPN Pensacola 945.
Cole Kubik joining us after Coach Malzahn. And Cole, I know you have had a chance to talk to him today as well. Gus Malzahn is putting on a good front these days. Give us your impression of what you heard from him, and then we'll move on to the season.
Well, I think he has two quarterbacks that he gets to choose from that he knows are very talented. Two guys that he knows he's going to have to make a decision, one or the other, but they're both going to have a chance to make plays in this league, Paul. And let's be honest, there's a lot to like about this Auburn football team. There are things to be confident about. You have experience on the offensive line. You have the best defensive line in college football, a very experienced secondary. Kevin Steele directing that defense, and he's done an excellent job there. Some experience at tailback in Boobie Whitlow, who didn't necessarily stay healthy as long as they would have liked him to a season ago. Talented group of receivers. And, hey, the thing he may be most confident about, Paul, is he's calling plays again. He's in charge, and he doesn't have to juggle those duties with Rhett Lashley or Chip Lindsey. He knows he's going to be the guy calling plays.
Yeah, and I had that conversation with him a minute ago, Cole, and I was maybe a little surprised by the energy on that. He is the head coach. I mean, he said, I think he used the word, we'd gotten some advice to do some other things. You know a lot more about what that advice was than I do.
I might call it influence rather than advice, and you know how that works behind the scenes sometimes. But a lot of times coaches, I think part of the growing process is they listen to the wrong people, and they learn from those mistakes. Gus Malzahn has probably learned that, hey, now there's enough people that potentially don't want to see me be Auburn's head coach anymore. I'm going to do it my way. Yeah. And I don't care if certain people don't like that. And that's the way that he should do it, because let's be honest. Do we appreciate Gus Malzahn for being a great head coach for a long time? He cut his teeth being an offensive coordinator. That's what he does well. That's how he got to where he is. So do it your way. I'm all for it. Now, I hope he keeps it, and I hope he maintains it. Even if it were to go bad at certain points this season, I think Gus Malzahn needs to retain play calling through the entire season, no matter how it goes, and maybe for the rest of his career.
Yeah, and I listen, it's no secret. He needs a big season, at least to quiet everyone down. I don't think anyone, maybe you do, know exactly what he needs to do, because I don't think these are things that are set out. Chiswick was with us earlier today on the set, and he said he needs to start with momentum. And I think the reason for that is you don't want to start off losing a game or two and give all the critics a chance to come back out from their holes.
I think the thing that worries me most about this schedule, Paul, and it's a tough one, it is a brutal schedule, is do the people around the Auburn program, and I don't mean fans, but I mean the boosters, the people who are pulling the strings, the people who are making those decisions, and we don't even know who some of them are right now. There's a young athletic director. There's an interim president down there right now. There's a bit of a power struggle behind the scenes, but are they going to have a real appreciation for Gus Malzahn if he were to beat Oregon? Because if he loses to Oregon, we know the heat's going to be ramped up, and everyone's going to have their way with that, and they're going to go crazy with that, and a lot of folks are going to say, okay, that's enough, enough's enough, you're not going to get through the rest of the schedule. But do enough people realize that that's a top 10, top 12 football team that has an outside chance to be playing for a college football playoff berth late in the season? I'm not sure that they do. How much cachet can he really get with that Oregon game? I think if he's going to earn the respect of the people that he needs to, not including the fans, it's Texas A&M, it's Florida, it's LSU, it's Georgia and Alabama. So how many of those wins can he realistically get? And that schedule that you see on your screen is tricky for different ways. Paul, there's not a guy in that facility that's been to Gainesville, Florida to play a football game. There's not a guy working in that facility that has won a game in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I was wearing a uniform the last time that happened. I'm an old man. So there are little tricky things even inside of that schedule outside of Georgia, Alabama, at LSU, at Texas A&M. So the big wins need to come against the big-name opponents that come from this conference, the Southeastern Conference.
If you're an old man, I'm a prehistoric dinosaur.
But I'm a baby dinosaur then.
T. Cole. As you look at that schedule, Oregon, even with a win against Oregon, which, as you said, not going to impress that many people, there's still a lot of landmines.
A lot. And that's where consistency comes in. My biggest concern with this team, Paul, everybody points to quarterback. They have to stay healthy on the offensive line. You have experience back, and it's easy to say, well, 5 starters back, they're going to be great. That was an inconsistent group a season ago. And there's not a lot of guys behind them that I think are ready to be full-time SEC football players just yet. A lot of people, Paul, point to those 5 offensive linemen a year ago and say, well, those guys didn't play great football, but they're all back. To me, it wasn't about the starters. It's about the next group, the next 5. Because when I played football, if you didn't play well, especially for 2 or 3 games, you lost your job. The next guy came in. That didn't happen for the Auburn offensive line last year. And I don't know if there's the next wave of guys who's ready to take a position or two if some of those gentlemen don't play the way that they need to. I have confidence that the second year under J.B. Grimes, their offensive line coach, that they can improve. There's a couple guys with a lot of talent. They have to stay healthy. But what happens if they don't improve? And there's not guys behind them that are ready to come take those positions. We could be having the same discussion about the Auburn offensive line a year from now.
I want to ask you about something you alluded to. You live in Alabama. You're an Auburn alum, very influential and prominent person on media. You talked about the power hierarchy at Auburn. We used to know how it worked. There was one guy. He didn't pull every string. And if there were some close calls, he had a cadre of people around him that helped him get through whatever he wanted. Since then, it has been hard to identify. And if this is true, and you tell us that Gus Malzahn nearly lost his job at the end of last season, who was pushing him out?
It's an interesting question because I don't really believe that his job was almost gone. I do believe that there were some people that at one point in time had a lot of power that wanted to go tell people that his job was almost gone. And those people at one point in time could have made those things happen, and maybe now they can't. And maybe with a newer athletic director and a president that like to step in and try to control some things inside the athletic department, which he's no longer the president at Auburn, just kind of stepped into the way and kept some of those things from happening. There were multiple reasons why I don't believe Gus Malzahn lost his job a season ago, but I do believe that power struggle was a reason that we heard more about why he might lose his job a year ago.
Interesting point, because that was the narrative a week or two after the season. This is before the bowl game. Everyone had a friend who knew something. You do a show in Birmingham and around the state of Alabama, so you heard it more than maybe we did. But the one thing that I am continually struck by, and Gus Malzahn has evolved as a coach, but even with the Heat, I would say in the last 2 years since signing the new contract, he's been a lot more affable. Am I imagining that? Or
no.
He's pretty friendly guy for a guy that was not particularly colorful early on.
He didn't take over as the Auburn head coach and win the media. He wasn't a very media-friendly guy. He wasn't very outgoing. I think he lacked some confidence when he spoke at events like this, at SEC Media Days, and even to Auburn alumni groups. And I've had the pleasure of hosting some of those with he and Bruce Pearl. I think Bruce Pearl's helped him a lot. Being around Bruce Pearl and see how he's active with the fans and interacts with different people, including the media and including alumni, and he's sort of fed off of that a little bit. But Gus Malzahn's confidence with the media in front of other people, in front of the camera, has grown exponentially year after year. In the last 2-3 years, you're right, Paul. He's a completely different guy. And I think it does go back to there are some parts of this team that you should be very confident in. We always point to quarterback and say, we don't know who the quarterback's going to be. How can he be confident in this team? But then you see Derek Brown walking around. Then you see Marlon Davidson walking around media days and Prince Tega walking around media days. And you say, well, if they're pretty good in the trenches, maybe they can offset some of the bumps in the road that they're going to have with a young quarterback.
Cole Kublik, as we close down here, the predictions for Auburn are certainly not they're hard to get a consistency on because they're all over the map. Where do you see this team landing?
A lot of it depends on quarterback, but I think you're looking at a team that wins 8-9 ball games this year. The schedule's just too much. To go win 10, 11, 12, I think the schedule's too much. Georgia's too good. Alabama's too good. To get 2 of those games in the last 3 games of your season is just asking a lot, even if they're both at home. Playing at Texas A&M is going to be extremely difficult, and you're going to have to break in a young quarterback no matter how you spin it. There's going to be times in which that confidence level's not there. You're not able to put as much in offensively as you want to. And then again, I go back to some of those concerns along the offensive line. I think they can be competitive, and I think if this team shows that they're going in the right direction and the program's heading in the right direction, there's momentum even with a couple of losses. The Heat might not be on Gus Malzahn's seat as high as some people believe. I project 8 wins right now. Would 9 or 10 surprise me, Paul? No, not really. If they get good quarterback play, I think that's very attainable.
Great stuff, as always, Cole Kublik. Cole, thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
See you very soon, and certainly during the season, including week 1. We'll take a short break. More to come. We'll talk to Cecil Hurt in a little while. More of your phone calls at 855-242-7285. Much more to do on this Thursday afternoon.
Imagining a better bank starts with looking at the savings rates most banks offer and saying, really? Capital One is building something better. You can open a Capital One savings account with one of the nation's best savings rates from anywhere. Like here, or here, or here. One of the nation's best savings rates. Opened online, at a Capital One location, or from anywhere. That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
For consumers only. Offered by Capital One N.A. member FDIC. Copyright 2018 Capital One.
Guys, the secret is out. If you want healthy sex, your body needs nitric oxide. And now you can boost your nitric oxide production faster than you thought possible with Ageless Male Tonight, the absurdly fast formula from the #1 brand in male enhancement. Just take 1 capsule an hour before romantic activity. You'll get clinically tested ingredients that rapidly boost nitric oxide production, and it won't go unnoticed. Rush to Walmart and get Ageless Male Tonight.
I'm Jordan Glass with your sports update on ESPN Pensacola 94.5. For your Pensacola Blue Wahoos, after a day off and 3 straight losses, they'll be back in action coming up later on this evening at 6:35 on the road taking on the Mississippi Braves. You can catch the game with Chris Garagiola right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5 following the Sports Drive. For your UWF Argos, we are 49 days away from the start of the football season for 2019. You can get your home game tickets online, Argo fans, at GoArgos.com. I'm Jordan Glass with your sports update on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
If you have over $10,000 in credit card debt and are behind on your monthly payments, you need to make this free call right now. 800-428-4187. When you call the Stop Debt Hotline, you're taking the first steps for help. Debt specialists are part of a real team who will help you with all of your options. You could stop the collection calls and letters forever by calling the completely confidential toll-free number right now. 800-428-4187. 800-428-4187. When you call, you'll get free information on how you can handle your debt forever. Imagine no more late nights and no more debt. Don't try to face your creditors alone. Call the Stop Debt Hotline right now. 800-428-4187. 800-428-4187. Get free information now by calling the Stop Debt Hotline. 800-428-4187. Non-attorney spokesperson paid for by Debt Resolution Helpline. 102 Northeast 2nd Street, number 183, Boca Raton, Florida, 33432.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit ignition.
Hit ignition. And then
Nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite.
Look out! Look out!
And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Sports is live and local every Saturday from 11 to 1.
Kawhi, him and his free agency, or him just sitting around waiting to sign with the team, had a lot to do with more than just the Lakers. There were other teams that were tied into this trade as well to determine their next moves. And for the Lakers, they still haven't finalized the Anthony Davis deal.
Sports Call with Jordan Glass and Davis Allen on your radio, on Facebook, and YouTube.
Southern California basketball is going to be where everybody's paying attention to this upcoming season.
At ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Introducing. Nah, not big enough. It's the brand new. Nah, still not big enough. Introducing the brand new French-inspired topped with fresh fruit crepes lineup, only at Denny's. Yeah, that's better. There's the new banana chocolate hazelnut crepes, the banana berry caramel crepes, and the strawberry vanilla crepes, made with fresh strawberries, strawberry sauce, and vanilla cream. Fresh fruit, French, and delicious. Come try all three. See you at Denny's. Price and participation may vary. Limited time only.
Country, and I like it that way. Everybody knows everybody.
We are back, and have we ever needed a conversation with Cecil Hurt? Cecil, yesterday, fairly low-key day until we started going through our Twitter feeds, and next thing you know, it was an all-day excuse event with Nick Saban and his players, and now with the reaction in Charlotte at ACC Media Days has become the story of the week that Alabama needs to quit making excuses and play football. Now, I want you to try to help us understand the narrative.
I think the three hottest trending topics at ACC Media Days were Nick Saban, Dylan Moses, and Paul Feinbaum. and in a certain way, that explains everything that needs to be explained.
Yeah.
That's the storyline that people 6 months after a game was played, that's the storyline that still apparently is the only thing worth discussing about the defending national champions is that Alabama doesn't say enough nice things about him. I think this year, as the season progresses, Nick does his press conference every Monday, and I think he should start with a review of how Clemson played that weekend. Just make them feel good. Hey, they really dominated Wake Forest, and just wanted to say that.
Don't forget Georgia Tech in the opener.
Yeah. I think, and then everybody would feel better about themselves.
Well, Cecil, listen, we have the luxury here, those of us who cover SEC schools, to know that there's an Alabama game at College Station and at Auburn and against LSU. If you're Clemson, you're not going to see a legitimate team, and you'll see Texas A&M at home, which is a good game. But other than the game with your two SEC opponents, you're not going to see anything interesting during the regular season or even the eight. So you have to,
or your championship game.
Yeah. So you have to find something to talk about.
I do think that has been effective, and I've known Dabo, as you have.
No,
I've known Dabo for a long time, and I think that's been an effective motivational tactic for him, and I don't blame him for continuing to press that button of poor old walk-on Dabo coaching poor old Clemson. You know, Clemson's a great team. Nobody doesn't think that. But at an event like this, when you ask Nick Saban about that game and what Alabama needs to do, Nick, to his credit, rather than doing what apparently some people, some media members, want him to do, which is give you a useless cliche about, well, we played a fine opponent, and which he did in January when it was
I think he was pretty effusive after the game.
Yeah, which he did in the 48 hours after the game when it was actually relevant. But if you ask him now, he's going to talk about the things that he is working on with his team, and it's far more interesting, far more valuable to hear Nick Saban talk about some of his issues with his coaching staff last year, and to tell the truth, which most coaches and I'm don't open up like that. They're not answering questions with what they perceive to be the facts when they can just throw a cliche out there and say, oh, well, we got to do better, got to play harder. 60 minutes, Paul. Got to play 60 minutes. And Nick doesn't do that. And it's invaluable, really, if you cover them or if you are interested in what's going on with them. And it's not much value in him saying, oh boy, Clemson was great. Let's all agree Clemson was great. Let's all get that off the table and let Alabama talk about Alabama or answer direct questions about that game that they are asked, which is the position that Dylan Moses was in, and worry about 2019. And then if they play again in December, January, let's hash it all out again then when it's relevant again.
Yeah, and the line I had to Nick Saban, which prompted the comment that everyone is digesting, was about the distractions. I asked him specifically about the distractions, and then as he was answering, I asked him to clarify: are you talking about coaches or players? I didn't ask him to go down the too deep chart of little old Clemson.
Yeah, and again, I don't know why that's a necessary preface.
Well, listen, I'm interviewing you. I don't want to offer too many opinions here, but you got a lot of people that cover that program that are not used to being in the spotlight that you have been. I mean, see, so when you were in college, Alabama won national championships. You covered one in '92. You've covered every year, but I think two Alabama's played for national championship, or three since 2008. So you've been there before. They should be used to it by now. And I don't know if it's the fan base, I don't know if it's the media or the players, but they're acting rather foolish.
Well, I will say this: the year before, in the semifinals, Alabama beat Clemson pretty sound.
Badly.
And I have no idea whether Dabo was properly respectful or not. He probably was.
Probably.
What the players had to say. Because it's not.
Who cared?
It's not that important. And that doesn't mean that Clemson's not important. It means the focus is on the team that you're covering and the team that you.
Well, but also the page had turned to Georgia.
I will say this too. it's not just a situation where Nick is picking on Clemson and doesn't want to say anything good about Clemson. You know, if you were to ask him, and maybe he was asked yesterday, were they playing their best at any point after the LSU game, against the Citadel, against Georgia, against Oklahoma? They had to make a quarterback change against Georgia.
Yeah.
They couldn't get Oklahoma stopped in the second half. Couldn't get them stopped. So it's what he's talking about is more than just what happened in that game in Santa Clara. He's talking about what happened with his team last year. And he's been through it before. He went through it in 2010. Yeah, and so that's a perspective that's interesting. I understand if you're at ACC Media Days, that's something to talk about. I get that. But there should be a lot of really interesting things about Clemson that you could ask Clemson about.
Yeah, there should be a lot of exciting things there. They got their own network about to start. Yeah. They have, an exciting opener. Clemson hosting Georgia Tech. A lot of storylines there.
I will say that I think in Dylan Moses' case, I do not think they are given prepared remarks or scripted remarks to say. But I do think that the players are intelligent enough to pick up on what Nick tells them.
Well, I want to say this. I've interviewed, you're the most interviewed person in the history of the show. This will go down as one of my favorite interviews.
Well, thank you, Paul.
Driving is freedom. The freedom to keep moving, to control your destiny, and to choose your path. And now, that freedom fits in the palm of your hand. It's called Ford Pass, the only app that gives you roadside assistance, Ford Pass rewards, and now when you buy or lease a new Ford, earn points you can use toward flexible complimentary maintenance that gives you, well, more freedom. Ford Pass, built to keep you moving, built Ford proud. Visit your participating Ford dealership to find out about getting flexible complimentary maintenance when you buy or lease a new Ford and sign up for rewards.
Roadside assistance is included for certain Ford owners and available to everyone for a per-service fee. Ford reserves the right to change program details without obligations. Visit your participating dealer or FordPassRewards.com for program rules and restrictions. Ford Pass, compatible with select smartphone platforms, is available via a download.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies, and rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, for a man age 45 non-tobacco user, it's $1 million of coverage at $75 per month, level rate for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco user can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110 per month, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rate guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At Term Busters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for a new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote at 1-866-929-1950. That's 1-866-929-1950. You're probably paying more than you should. Call Term Busters at 1-866-929-1950. That's 1-866-929-1950. Remember, 1-866-929-1950. Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes for preferred non-tobacco underwriting. Exam required to qualify.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi. I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
Well, before I left my campsite, I was putting out my fire, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear showed up and hugged me?
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. He likes it when people correctly put out their campfires. He's pretty big on wildfire prevention. He's just letting you know you did good. With a hug. He's a hugger.
I just got a bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update!
All right, I'm going to let you go now. I've got a lot of ranger stuff to do. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Oh! Dilly dilly! Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey there, I'm a glue stick, so I have one job. I glue kid stuff. So sorry for being jealous of Geico, who does a ton more, like give you 24/7 access to thousands of licensed agents. And Geico has been around for over 75 years and has a 97% customer satisfaction rating. While I've just got mediocre adhesive skills, Geico also has an award-winning mobile app. Uh-oh, arts and crafts time. No eating the glue stick. Miss Lydia!
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
This is Pensacola's hometown all-sports station and home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 945. Catch all the Wahoos games home and away all season, plus all the latest Wahoos news from Chad Brilliante on the Sports Drive, 5 till game time weeknights. And hey, if your business would like to partner with us as an advertiser or with a local sports promotion, then give us a call at 850-262-6000 or shoot us an email from the advertise page on ESPNpensacola.com.
Dogs are counting down, about to put the anchor down. Hotty toddy, who's it gonna be? Cowbells and swamp, the Aggies wrong. There's nothing like the SEC. The weekend's full of surprises. Hit 'em with the flex. From Williams Spice to Death Valley. On the Five-Mile Show, Paul's on the roll. If he don't get the best of me,
Alabama. It's your show. Go ahead. You got a damn burn crappy attitude. Let me talk, Danny. Okay, go. Talk about the tide that's rolling in. The weekend's full of surprises. From big upsets to rivalries. On the Five-Mile Show, heads are gonna roll. If they don't get the best of me, we'll call Paul. He'll make sense of it all.
I really don't know where to go after that.
Don't take those calls. I could give you my address and phone number if you're ever in this neck of the woods.
In my life. Welcome back. Glad you're with us. Welcome back to the program here in Hoover, Alabama. Yeah, our last day here. Already, Gus Malzahn has joined us here tableside. Cole Kubelik, Cecil Hurt with a pretty hilarious conversation if you understood the satire. We are going to continue with your phone calls at 855-242-7285. Greg has been in the lobby all week. I've had a chance to visit with him every day. Greg, thanks for joining us here.
Thank you, Paul. I actually made it back home to Athens about 30 minutes ago after I talked to
Greg, were you able to navigate the big crowd?
Well, if you were there yesterday and today, you would be totally blown away by the juxtaposition between the feeling in the air of the last 2 days. Yesterday was a pep rally at Bryant-Denny Stadium, and today was like the last day of a 5-day business meeting, at the Holiday Inn. Everybody's ready to get out of there and get home, But you had some wonderful interviews. Cole and Cecil Hurt never mail it in when it comes to their time on the show with you, and they always have something to say that you can learn from. And Cecil, that was funny when Cecil said, the three main talking points from ACC Media Days has been related to Alabama and you. And I think that, Alabama still lives in Clemson's head, even though they ran away with that game last year.
By the way, I'm trying to remember. What did he say again? The three main talking points at ACC Media Days were what?
Was Coach Saban's comment about the coaches, Dylan Moses' comments, and you.
Oh, okay, so, right.
Yeah. So that was hilarious, and he made a good point that Nick Saban was very effusive in his praise following the game, and as you know, Nick, he doesn't live in any moment past 48 hours, and he moves on. So I think he's dialed in on what they got to do this year, and not worrying about next year, and offered you some real insight when you asked him about the problems going on last year. And that's not an excuse; it's just a statement of fact. And some people in the media are taking it as whining, So, but I just think that the points that Gus Malzahn seemed, when I was with him down there in the pit, he seemed to be a lot more open-minded and easygoing than he was 2 years ago when he came into Media Days. And there was a little bit more crowd there 2 years ago when Auburn showed up, but he just seemed, he took his time with people. He smiled. You could tell he wasn't performing on stage, or it was a forced action on his part, and he just seemed to be more relaxed. And maybe that'll benefit him and the team this year as they move forward. But even if it doesn't, it won't be because he didn't do things he wanted to do his way. So thanks for taking my call, Paul, and I enjoyed spending time with you and look forward to more in the future.
Thank you very, very much, Greg. Great to see you. Dan in Louisiana. Dan, good afternoon.
Hey, Paul. Thanks.
Thank you.
Paul, I love you. I love the show and the callers. Seeing Gus Malzahn made me think of Tammy. Miss her.
Oh, yeah.
Paul, it's not easy having an opinion. You're going to always step on somebody's toes. But the Clemson players, they voiced their opinion. Is it different for them?
Listen, everyone has an opinion, Dan, and it's going to be different here than it is there.
Right. Well, maybe I'm an old fart, but that's the way, I thought it was. We're all entitled to our opinions, and I don't know if they're just having a hard time showing class, being a winner, or to coaching, or they're uncomfortable, or they're looking for ratings. I don't know what it is, but I guess it's just all part of it. I was just going to ask you about it.
Well, listen, I'm entertained by it all. It doesn't matter to me what anybody says. I find it all equally interesting, and Clemson players have every right to express their opinion, just like Alabama players have theirs.
I know. I just think we all go into it knowing, that we're going to step on a few toes, but, it's just, everybody has their opinion.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate the insight. Mike is up next in South Carolina. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, how you doing, Paul? I just had to tell you I'm from South Carolina, and I pull for all my SEC teams, and any team that plays Clemson, I pull for them. Because Clemson, I think it's called the little man syndrome. They don't know how to win gracefully. They pile on, and I cannot stand Clemson. So I pull for any team against Clemson. Thank you.
Thank you. Jose is up next in Georgia. Jose, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Paul. How are you today?
We are doing great. Thank you for the call.
Yeah, me and my Uncle Mike were just watching you, and that guy pulling against Clemson. I was like, wow, that's a big opinion right there.
So what do you think?
Well, I'm starting to think for Georgia, well, I'm a Georgia fan, so I'm always going to talk about this, but I think that Alabama is going to be a huge hurdle for Georgia because they're also part of the SEC. And Notre Dame is always going to be a bigger hurdle. So what do you think Georgia has to do to get past those two teams?
Well, Georgia just has to finish games, and I think Kirby Smart has been through this ad nauseum in the offseason. He's got to be frustrated. He had double-digit leads against Alabama 2 straight years. I think the game that frustrates Kirby Smart more than any game in his tenure, I mean, he got blown out by Ole Miss his first year, but that team wasn't all that good. But the team, I think the game that still baffles him and baffles me is the performance at LSU last year. That was a no-show. At least the rest of the games are correctable. That's still unexplainable.
Yeah, it is, Paul. And Georgia fans also remember 2012. You know, about how Hudson Mason and Mark Richt don't know what is it on spike? A spike. They don't know what a spike is.
Well, by the way, I don't think Hudson Mason was the quarterback in 2012. It was Aaron Murray.
It was Aaron Murray. I'm sorry. I'm 14. I'm new to this stuff. Excuse me, Paul.
That's okay. No, I just I don't remember Hudson playing in any games that really mattered. Do you?
No, Paul, I don't. Especially when they lost against Georgia Tech. That made me and my uncle very upset.
Well, listen, I'm really glad you called. I hope you'll call back again. What year are you? What grade are you? Thanks for the call. Didn't get the answer. Tell you what, we'll head to a break. Much more to come, including a conversation with Justin Ferguson from The Athletic. All of that coming up next. If you missed any of today's show, go check out the show on demand in the Paul Feinbaum Show podcast, brought to you by the Capital One Venture Card. Earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day. What's in your wallet?
At Indeed, we understand that when it comes to hiring, it's important to have a large talent pool to choose from. But sometimes too many good options can be overwhelming. That's why Indeed doesn't just give you access to a large pool of job seekers. We also offer screener tools that let you instantly narrow down your search. Hone in on hiring with Indeed. Experience Indeed for yourself today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting at Indeed.com/promo. Terms and conditions apply.
New Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline is engineered with 4 levels of defense against gunk, wear, corrosion, and friction. It's sort of like having ninjas protect your engine. That helps keep your engine running like new. New Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline. It's fuel for thought in engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline.
I'm Jordan Glass with your sports update on ESPN Pensacola 94.5. For your Pensacola Blue Wahoos, after a day off and 3 straight losses, they'll be back in action coming up later on this evening at 6:35 on the road taking on the Mississippi Braves. You can catch the game with Chris Garagiola right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5's Following the Sports Drive. For your UWF Argos, we are 49 days away from the start of the football season for 2019. You can get your home game tickets online, Argo fans, at GoArgos.com. I'm Jordan Glass with your sports update on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Now that Human Resources Director Fernando Pino has Kronos for HR, payroll, talent, and time, he's completely crushing it. He even has his own hype song.
Supporting our entire workforce. Everyone has different hours, skill sets, and pay grades. Motivating and engaging our people every step of the way.
Kronos, HR solutions for the modern workforce and the people who support them. Learn more at kronos.com/HR swagger.
I'm gonna rise up.
the top, I'm gonna rise up. I'm on the top.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket,
Hit ignition.
and then...
And then nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite.
Look out! Look out!
And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
When working at a growing business, you wear many hats. The new business hat, the buying toner for the copy machine hat, the sifting through tons of resumes hat. You can throw away that last hat thanks to Indeed.com. When posting your job, Indeed lets you add screener questions that give you a less time-consuming route to your short list of qualified candidates. So go ahead, dust off that extra long lunch hat. Hiring's better when you've got your short list. Save time on hiring when you post a job on Indeed. Get started today at Indeed.com/hire.
To protect her home and family in a disaster, Karen was willing to wade through water, mud, and insurance paperwork.
Yeah, I can do this.
You go, Karen! By simply understanding and updating what her insurance covers and doesn't cover now, she'll be better prepared no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. Glad we're here as SEC Media Days begins to wind down. We've had some conversations with Justin Ferguson over the years. He celebrates his year anniversary at that's hard to say, at the Athletic. Glad you're here and appreciate it, Justin, very much. So let's talk a little about the day for Auburn. We had Coach Malzahn on earlier. You've covered him a great deal. What was your assessment of his tour through media days?
One of the things that stood out to me the most is that Gus Malzahn seems very confident about his roster, pretty much outside of quarterback, just because it's such a big question mark with the freshmen coming in. Running backs, wide receivers, offensive line, that entire defense. He stressed the importance of we've got to be better around those quarterbacks. And somebody asked him point blank, what was one of your biggest goals or your other biggest goal of fall camp besides picking a quarterback? And he said, you know what, pretty much picking a quarterback. I think he's very confident in what they've got around that group this year, and they're going to need those guys to step up in order to have a chance at a successful season. And we pressed him on, not pressed him, we just asked him how he would decide. Mm-hmm. And you've seen these players. Not too many of us have seen anything other than film or the A-Day. How would you differentiate as a journalist Gatewood and Bo Nix? Yeah, I think Joey Gatewood right now has a slight edge over Bo Nix because Malzahn leans more towards that experience like a lot of coaches, but also his running ability. It was the thing that popped out really immediately in spring practices when they had closed-door scrimmages, ones that they got to let the quarterbacks get hit. I mean, he really, really stood out that way. And whereas Bo Nix, I think it's just his passing ability really stands out. Now, he's a more mobile guy than maybe some people will give him credit for, but I think with Gatewood, you're going to see more of that traditional Gus Malzahn run first quarterback who can stretch the field. Whereas with Bo Nix, I think you're going to see more in the vein of what they had with Jarrett Stidham, just a little bit more athleticism and ability to move around in the pocket and on design running plays.
Listen, they're both young.
Very.
But there's a feeling that Nix is younger, though, than Gateway.
Yes, by a year. By a year.
So that's an important year, and maybe it's important, but there's a sense or a conventional wisdom, Justin, that if you go with Nix and something doesn't go right, maybe it does more damage, although considering their age, they're both pretty young. It probably wouldn't help either one to win the starting job and get pulled out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the big things for Auburn, that when they find the guy this year, I think for the long-term health of the program, if they decide that, okay, we don't have to play both of these guys in order to be our most successful, find a way to get them off the same timeline, because you don't want them expiring their eligibility at the same time. So that's what makes Gatewood having that redshirt year and Nix not having that redshirt year so fascinating.
Talking about the Auburn Tigers, and we really didn't spend much time with Coach Malzahn on the defense because you don't have to spend much time. They are that good, right?
Right, absolutely. And it starts with that defensive line. I mean, best defensive line in college football heading in. So much talent in college football went out on the defensive line. It was the year of the lineman, and Auburn was one of the few schools that brought most of their guys back. They're going to have to replace Dontavius Russell, who was such a key 4-year man, but they like that defensive line a lot. The big thing that stood out to me this offseason is every time you talk about the linebackers, they say, we haven't dropped off there, even though we've had Deshaun Davis and Montavious Atkinson and Darrell Williams leave. And in the secondary, you return all but one starter and a lot of depth, especially that safety position.
Talking to Justin Ferguson from The Athletic, Coach Malzahn talked about it, but he talked about it as an opportunity. I don't know if I'd call the schedule Auburn has an opportunity, unless you're thinking an opportunity maybe to get fired. But as you look at it, I'd like you to break it down, because it seems like there are various intervals of this schedule. For those listening on radio, I'll read it. You probably know it by now, though. Oregon's the opener in Dallas. That's the biggest game in the country. Opening weekend, Tulane, Kent State, and then 21st at A&M, Mississippi State, at Florida, at Arkansas, at LSU. I'm reading it correctly. Ole Miss, Georgia, Samford, and Alabama. So how do you break it down?
I look at it this way. I think there are 6 really tough games on the schedule for Auburn. There are 6 ones that they probably should take care of business of more often than not. At Mississippi State, the Tulane, Kent State games, at Arkansas, of course, Samford. But I think the big thing for them is that you're going to have to win some big games on the road in order to get to the point where you feel like you're still going to be in contention come November. Gus said it today. 8 wins is celebrated at a lot of places. It's not at Auburn, and that could be a soundbite that could come back and haunt them if they don't go out there and win some of these tough games away from home. They're going to have to win multiple ones with a freshman quarterback.
And as you look at that schedule for one more second, let's move the Georgia and Alabama game out of the way, because those